Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This is episode 216 with Mr. Jacob Lord over here for Codstruck 3D and yours truly, Grant from 3D Musketeers. We're going to be talking all about this Centauri Carbon. Well, really just the Centauri period, right? Because there's the Centauri, then the Centauri Carbon from Elegoo. And just how the absolute sin they're even making this happen. Because I don't know if we understand it 100%.
It's just such a good-looking machine at such a low price point. I am struggling to see how they've pulled out such a good quality machine at such a low price point.
And I think it's important that we say good quality looking, because neither of us have one in hand at the moment. Correct?
That is right.
Okay.
So I have done a deep dive, as most people will, on YouTube. I found some people that have taken it apart. It does look fairly good. Now, that is not an endorsement or a review. Wait 6 months and see what people say then.
Yeah,
But
to be
from the
clear,
sounds of it,
we are not endorsing. None of us have these machines. Do not consider this podcast in any way, shape, or form a review. We are assessing it from a realistic standpoint of, hobbyists, professionals, and in Jacob's case, manufacturers. Because, good Lord, we don't know how they've done it.
I've absolutely no clue.
But are you aware that this is not the first time Elegoo has come onto a market, completely said, yeah, your price, we're just going to slice that in half, and that's what we're going to start. Are you aware this isn't their first time to do this?
No. What was their first? What was their first?
It's actually how I started buying Elegoo printers, with the Mars, with the resin printers. So
Ooh.
Elegoo was one of the first consumer-grade resin printers on the market to be reasonably affordable, right? You had the Anycubic Photon, and I'm talking the OG Mars with an LCD screen, not these monochrome screens. No, where your cure times are like 13 to 15 seconds per layer. Okay? Which I still have
was amazing
some.
Back then.
I still have some, and they still work. And we had the option at the time, basically, to choose between Prusa SL1, Formlabs Form 2, or an army of Elegoo printers. We were able to get 7 Elegoo printers for the same price as of any of the other two options. And why would I choose the Anycubic Photon when the Elegoo Mars was a third of the price? Right? It was so much cheaper. And it was just one of those odd scenarios that, yeah, okay, I see what they're doing here. But we've gotten an interesting problem with this, right? Support. Speaking of, Dreams Void with the £2 saying, and a good-looking pair of hosts on our screens. They must be seeing you in double vision. That's my basic assumption here.
Stop putting yourself down. You look great.
We love self-deprecating humor here.
Look, we can't cope with pride, so we just make it self-deprecation.
Yeah.
But I can tell you look fine. You look great.
I can tell you that you look fine.
Oh, no, I can't take compliments.
You're looking mighty fine.
Oh, you know it, baby. We are 5 minutes into the stream and we've already
sir, we are 4 minutes into this stream. Steve builds with the 10 memberships. Thank you, Steve. And by the way, when we are done, we're going to send you all over to Steve's stream where he's taking a Mark IV and making that a Mark IV-S. But Mr. Tiberum got one. Matt, Mr. Scary's 3D Prints, Nathan, Christopher Elliott, Casey Wood, Alexander B, Mr. Tiberum is already a member. Adventure Printing, Ron Shoot. Sure, hope I got that right. And Fadus Mueller. I was going to ask how your day off went, but nope, it's Fadus. Sorry. That might be a joke that doesn't make a ton of sense, but hey, we're here for it. Grit is so self-deprecating, he could be British. Oh my God, John Stern.
Now that's a compliment.
In this day and age, I will take it as a compliment, but apparently my pinky was too straight, and we were not just south of Lincolnshire. We were in Lincolnshire. And of course, it was one of your friends that made fun of me. But you know, I used the I went to American public schools as a excuse, if you will. And apparently, Duff says that he wants you just to say penguin.
Penguin.
Apparently, you
Penguin.
have the accent for penguin. So yeah, the Centauri is Elegoo's kind of doing the exact same thing that they've done previously, but now against the Bambu clone market. Oh, wait.
Penguin.
Penguin?
Oh, with a Q. Penguin. And no, I'm not doing the penguin as Benedict Cucumber Patch, however you pronounce his last name says.
Okay, all right. Duff is just trying to get the British out of you this morning, I guess, or this afternoon.
Too bad. You're going to be stuck with it.
Oh, well. That's Benedict Cabbage Patch, says Dreams Void. Well, you know. So, this whole machine, right? I don't think any of us were expecting it to be this cheap.
No.
Right? And I think you and I are both a little confused as to how it is this cheap.
I mean, the quality on its own. Have you watched the Aurora Tech video that came out?
No. I'm still trying to get one and negotiate a better contract with them. I'm a little salty still about it. For those who don't know, Elegoo did reach out for us to take a look at the machine. They wanted us to make 4 videos on it, and they did not want to pay us because when we asked to get some compensation for that time that it would take for that machine to do all those videos, they ghosted us. So I'm not going to take a $300 or a $400 printer, for that matter, to do 4 comparison videos for no extra compensation. Sorry, that's not...
That is not a good business deal.
That's not how that works. No, yeah, like even at $10 an hour, that's not a good deal. I mean, the average regular video takes 30 to 40 hours of my time to do properly, right? So still trying to figure out what we want to do there, but as John Stern says, he expected $399.
To be honest, I expected $4.99.
Yeah, well, no, I wasn't expecting $4.99 because when we look at the competition out there, we have the most problematic one, which is the FlashForge Adventurer 5M and the 5M Pro. Now, those are 220 cubes versus 256 cubes. But they've got the biggest challenge because they're some of the low-cost providers on the Core XY setup. And I think it's $299 and $499 respectively for the 5M and the 5M Pro last I checked. You know, and I agree with Dreams Void here, definitely not $199 for an open frame 256 cube. I mean, look, right, when we look at the market, what the hell can you buy with $200 in this market? Because it's not much. Right.
A decent TV costs more than that.
Well,
that's like the most commoditized thing you can buy is a TV nowadays.
The only other printer on the market at this price point is the A1 Mini, and it's now above $200 because of the tariffs.
Yeah.
Micro Center just brought it up to $220, it looks like. You know, so there's nothing out there. I mean,
to be honest, there was already word on the street that the A1 series was already massively discounted from the factory side. So, like, the fact that they're cheaper is quite interesting. And the fact that the quality is there and it's a bigger machine, there's more material being used, is also... It's just fascinating. Like, they've pulled like a rabbit out of the hat like magic, and I'm struggling to see where the magic came from in the first place. And that's my job. I'm supposed to be able to see these things.
Right. Yeah, I don't know where they like. I'm just looking at the overall cost of something like this, and I'm not certain that there's profit to be made here. And even on an economies of scale thing, right? So economies of scale, for those that don't know, is when you make a lot of something, and I'm saying a lot in 100,000 plus, okay, it gets considerably more affordable to make that thing the longer you do it, right? So it's how Creality's been able to, you know, get the Ender 3, the OG Ender 3 down to like, what, $50 or $75 cost. And they're able to sell them at the $99 retail mark. But even, I just don't see how it's possible. Like, where are you cutting corners, right? And to be clear, neither of us have one. I guess Zombie has one, and he said he wished it was $3.99 with improvements on bed leveling, maybe other slight improvements. And those asking, no, it's not Clipper. We know it's not Clipper.
Do we though?
So Elegoo has confirmed it's not Clipper.
Interesting.
So
I was unsure how they were doing it because so there's a picture I put in the Discord of the motherboard. It is just a straight up regular motherboard.
Uh-huh.
What surprised me, however, Orca classes it as Clipper. So it's sending Clipper commands, or at least Clipper flavored G code. So,
well, okay.
I'm not sure anymore.
Is the G code that different?
I'm not sure, but I know from Bambu's side that Bambu says they don't use Clipper, and I actually believe them because they're using Marlin flavored G code.
Yes, yeah, we know that Bambu doesn't use Clipper. I just instantly trusted that it was going to be a Marlin flavor of some sort. I guess I'm wrong on that, but realistically, if you're running Input Shaper, is it that big of a deal? Right? Like, which one that you use? Yeah, looking at that motherboard, because Discord's not happy on my computer currently. That's the motherboard for it?
That's the motherboard for it. That is... Oof.
Yeesh.
I wish there's a way we could get it up on stream to show people, because that is... it's impressive that they've gotten performance out of something that looks like that.
I mean, I'll put my phone up to the screen, right?
That works.
But
like, there is not much there.
No.
You have a bank of stepper drivers, what looks like probably a discount Amtel chip, and that's it.
And they're using just a big filtering caps. They're using a very small power supply. Yep. There appears to be a very similar SSR board to what we were used to with the Plus 4, using a single Z motor, which is fine. Like, some people are upset about that. I'm not too worried about that these days.
Honestly, it's a smart decision. It removes the amount of motors you need for 3-point contact. It's cheap, it's reliable, and it keeps them all in time with each other.
Assuming
you don't need a special belt. That is true. Yeah. But if you got that level, you've got bigger problems, because a belt is a belt, and they've already got a tensioner, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Spring-based tensioners too, which is nice. That way, as the belt stretches, you don't have to worry too much about it. Like, just looking at this photo that you posted, I'm guessing this is a screenshot from the Aurora Tech video?
No, this is a screenshot from, let me get the source for me. Aurora Tech's was a really good video, by the way. They went into the quality of the printer, and the Too Long Didn't Watch, the quality is slightly worse than machines that cost double to triple. Which is to be expected.
Yeah, it's what you expect, right?
And to be honest, I think it's mostly the slicer presets are a little bit on the aggressive side, and that's it. Because the machine, the kinematics are the same.
But like, everyone praises Bambu for having beautiful print quality. Anyone that has used a Bambu printer knows that their slicer profiles are in no way, shape, or form conservative. They are running these things at basically the limit of what their hot ends are capable of doing. If you slow down a Bambu by like 10%, the print quality goes through the roof.
Yep.
Right. Interior, go as fast as you want. Right. on those exterior perimeters, slow it down just a little bit, and it gets
And it
better.
doesn't even need to be the speed, just the acceleration and jerk. That's like literally enough to bring a printer into perfect.
Well, and that's how a lot of machines get around these very high acceleration marks, is they use a high jerk value. And for those that don't know, Jacob, do you want to explain jerk or do you want me to do it?
Okay, so jerk's a bit weird because I use jerk in a different terminology than what most people are used to, because most people are used to clipper, where they've got square corner velocity. And I'm not very good at describing square corner velocity because it's a little bit about angles and it gets very confusing
It's the
very
angle
quick.
of the dangle or the heat of the meat. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still confusing to me.
The short answer is your motors have a maximum pull force, and jerk will always use the maximum pull force available of the motor to instantly change direction as fast as it can. So if you've got a corner, you accelerate and then decelerate to the corner, but you're not going to stop. That not stopping speed is the jerk speed, where it will just instantly snap to the 90 degrees. So if you say set it to 10 millimeters per second, it will go to that corner and try to maintain a minimum radius speed thing that is putting at most 10 millimeters per second into that corner so it can snap around. It's what makes your printer actually as fast as it is. You
Right.
can get two printers, one at 600, one at 300, but the one that has higher accelerations and higher jerk will almost double the print time, half the print time than the one with slower accelerations and jerk.
Yeah, if you want to have some fun, set the jerk on your printer to 0 and see what happens. All of a sudden, your stupid fast printer will just grind to a halt.
Yeah.
It will not be able, especially when we're talking about like circular things, right? Where it has to make a bunch of small moves. Oh my God, they slow way down. Jerk enables the machine to go beyond a little bit, right? Extend a little bit further and make those calculations that, oh, I can cut my extrusion a little early. If I go a little bit past it, it's fine because I've cut my extrusion.
Yeah.
Jerk is a great way to add speed. Often you end up kind of sacrificing some quality for it.
Yeah.
But with good input shaping profiles, that all kind of goes away.
Wow, not entirely. So jerk's one of the weird ones where the higher the jerk value, you do still get the speed, but the input shaper really does struggle to work with jerk. So there is an argument to be made where you want high acceleration, low jerk, or high jerk, low acceleration. And it does, well, both of them have an impact on an input shaper.
Right.
Where if you have, say, you're doing a speed tower with, oh God, I've forgotten the name of it. The one that Clipper uses, where they've got a nice little V cut into the side.
Oh,
and as you go up,
the freaking temperature towers.
Yeah, it's basically a temperature tower for input shaper. As you get more aggressive with your jerk or accelerations or both, the gap between the edge will slowly grow apart. And that's because the computer is attempting to apply an input shaper onto a speed profile that just cannot cope with how aggressive it's being. And that's when you get motion smoothing and you get that smooth factor where you will see a benchy where the edge is just blended. And that is the downside of these more aggressive printers versus the quality, because there's a lot of argument about visual quality versus tolerance quality. You can have a quite bad print toleranced perfectly, which is basically any Stratasys machine at this point.
Oh, shots fired.
I'm calling them. They need to work on it. Seriously.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't have the reason to care about it.
I would agree with them though. They're right, because they don't care what the surface quality is. They care what the tolerance quality is.
Yep.
Because if they can say you're making a part to this tolerance, well, that's what you need for engineering. But for consumers, they care about the surface quality more. And if it's off by a little bit, as long as it looks good and it looks consistent,
Jacob,
that's more important.
Jacob, Stratasys doesn't care about the consumer market. Look at MakerBot.
Stratasys doesn't care about anyone. That's why we're blacklisted from going anywhere near them.
Well, okay, Stratasys does. Stratasys cares about the companies that make, six-figure material purchases every quarter or so, And you can't blame them, right? They found their market. They know what their market is. And Stratasys does more than FDM. They've got a Resin. They've got the polyjet side with the with now the J series, the J55, and the J7 series, J8 series. They've got the SAF, which is Stratasys' answer to the SLS and MJF market. Yeah, just Stratasys has more than FDM for those that don't know. Also, my headphone cable was okay. I'm good now. Stratasys
Please
has
do not eat your headphone cable in your chair.
Yeah, no, definitely doesn't happen all the time. But no, Stratasys has more than just FDM. We just know them as FDM. And they are the real FDM because they actually own the trademark to that name. So that's why you see most companies talk about FFF, because that is not trademarked and they can say that kind of thing instead.
You can thank the UK for trying to coin the term MX for material extrusion, which has gone down so well because I love it. It's got an X in it. That means it's cool. Shut up, Elon. But it makes it cool. Problem is, Mexico exists, and nobody thought about MX being a Googleable term because you just get Mexico.
Beautiful.
But I like it because it makes sense because if you get your chocolate printers like the Cocoa Press, that's material extrusion. So MX, you got your clay printers, MX, it fits quite well. Or the silicon printers, MX. It's never going to be used though. It's going to be FDM or FFF.
Yeah, it will.
Oh.
Madcap brought up a good point. 114 watching and only now 29 likes. We got to pump those numbers up. Those are some rookie numbers over there. You know, if you do like the kind of stuff that we do here, we do have way too much fun on these streams. Obviously, leave a like, but you can also support for as little as $1 a month through the platforms listed in the description below. You could also just, you know, gift memberships on here, or you can do super chats and all that because it helps keep the streams ad-free. Because as we are live, you all should not see a singular ad. If you do, please let me know, because I'm trying to log whether or not YouTube actually shows you all ads. We're trying to, you know, play the game of we're going to basically take no money while the show is live, but at the same time, you know, try to support ourselves where we can, because we spent a lot of time doing this and a fair bit of time on the research side of it as well, because, you know, we want to have a little bit of fun. So if you do want to support us, let us know. Chaucer says that this was an ad for Elegoo. Oof. Oof. No, man, you must have missed the first few minutes. This ain't no ad for Elegoo. Dreams Void says no ads, but you can't forget about the stream sponsors. Who is the co-host? That's right, the stream is sponsored by Construct 3D, UK's fastest 3D printer and the first and only real Bambu 3D printer manufacturer. So if you want to get yourself some damn fine UK goodness, you can head over to construct3d.com and grab yourself a Construct 1, the 1E, or no, the 1XL, excuse me.
You
the
caught
Construct
yourself.
2, I caught
yourself.
myself. Oh, I was doing a good ad read there for a second.
You're doing really good.
Bamboo machines that even I can like. That's correct.
See, and now people know why we didn't end up calling it the 1E, because you immediately go down the Bambu Lab route.
Yes, and yeah, we all know why you did it, right? But, you know,
SEO is a bitch.
Yes, it is. That's why the Construct 2 is a much better name.
Oh, it is.
The Nocturnus with $10 for the no ad fund. Zombie Hedgehog with the 29 member now for 29 months under basic support. Thank you, sir. And yes, the $10 tier and higher, you get to come hang out with the ridiculous shenanigans that occur in our Discord server multiple times a week, where we hang out live and do God knows what. It just depends on the day. Some days we're, you know, working on stuff. Some days I've got a piece of cast iron from the early 1900s from a historical building in Florida, and we're doing random crap with it. So just normal things, just normal things. Sip of Coffee.
And I got you that.
Go ahead.
No, you go. You're doing a read.
Oh, okay. So Sip of Coffee says, so UK, when are you coming back to the EU so shipping gets cheaper?
There's lots of words I could say that would get us immediately demonetized for whatever, for all of in perpetuity. We're working on options. We've already been invited to move factories into Europe. We're trying to figure out what is the best way for everyone. And at the moment, everything sucks.
That's fair. That's fair.
To be honest, the shipping to Europe's not too bad. It's the shipping to America that's annoying me at the moment. So we're having to do it manually because the automated shipping integrations on the website double charge. I'm not going to do that. So at the moment, if you do want to buy a machine from us in America, email, because then you get half price shipping. If you do it via the website, which is why I've disabled it on the website, they will literally charge double the price for the convenience of having a one-click button. And I'm not going to do that to you guys. You need cheapest shipping possible. So
it's so true, man.
do it via
it's
email.
Expensive.
And yes, Lewis, we have been considering coming back to Malta because it is a trade hub as well, and we get so many tax benefits. And the government has already kind of been like, "Hey, do you want to consider this?"
Yeah,
And
isn't
like,
Malta like a tax haven as it is?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
and I'm a Maltese citizen, so it counts. So
yeah, I was like, I
even
feel like there's a
bigger
lot of
access.
like U.S. companies that have their headquarters in Malta and Ireland and
Yep.
other countries that are, you know, heavily tax benefited, rather than paying their fair share like the rest of us. Pay your damn taxes. I'm not salty about this. I'm not writing a significant tax.
Oh no,
bill
you should
from
be.
last
You
year.
should be salty.
I'm pretty salty.
I mean, half the austerity in the UK is because we don't tax the rich enough. So, as somebody who would love to be rich, tax the rich,
Yeah,
please.
nothing. I would love nothing more than to write a 6-figure check to the IRS. Because if I'm writing a 6-figure tax check to the IRS, I'm doing just fine.
See, and this is why I love running a research-based company, because in the UK you get 120% research tax rebate. So it's great. You get paid to do research as long as it's VAT like compatible.
Yeah, we don't get that. Back on topic, since hi,
yes.
Welcome to the Tangent Podcast. If you haven't figured that out by now, sorry. So looking back at this machine here, right? We know why they did the build volume they did. The 256 is a instant shot over the bow of Bambu.
Yeah.
Right?
Straight up.
But why so late in the game? It's the question I have. Because, like, when we looked at the consumer resin line, right? When they kind of ate up the consumer resin line, they did it only, what, like 6 or 8 months after Anycubic entered the market? We're now, what, 3 or 4 years after Bambu entered the market, and now they're firing their shot over the bow? Like, it doesn't make sense. Elegoo is known for pushing prices low. We've seen it. They initially launched most of their printers at a higher price point, and then they deep discount them, right? They're the Michaels of the 3D printer world. If you're buying it at full price, you just didn't look, right? Why did they wait so late? Like, what do you think caused this?
I think the first thing that I look at is the machine design. Like, let's say they were learning during that time. Like the base level is they were delaying because they wanted to make it good. But they haven't innovated. Now, they technically have, because price is innovation. But in terms of what they've put in the machine, there's nothing special.
And
it is just a clone.
No offense,
it's a good clone.
But if it's taken, whatever. Elegoo's not known for innovating. That's not what they're known for. Sure, the Giga is the first, we're going to put reasonably affordable large format printer, but based on the vast majority of people that have used them, well, they're not great, right? I don't have one. I don't have the space for one, so I'm not going to get one, right? But if you have a need for a machine that big, then there's very little on the market that isn't going to cost an extra zero on the price point of everything else. So, all Elegoo really seems to do was just play on the price point. But they normally do it much faster than this.
Yeah.
Right?
The fact that this was slow is it's the thing that I wouldn't say it's troubling me, but something I just don't understand. They had everything in place to do this very hot on the heels of Bambu Lab. And unless there was something, say, corporate-wise, slowing them down, I just don't see it. I don't understand. And it's not like they aren't a small company. They've got the resources to pull this out.
Yeah.
They've, as you can tell from the design, it's very well made. Uh, they've fixed some of the issues, like thank you for putting a USB port on the front and not the back or the side. I love that.
Cheaty.
But
That's
at the
it's on
same
the
time,
back
like,
it's on the back, but on the top.
I still don't. Nah, anything on the back, no, no. It doesn't matter if it's top or the bottom. No,
Yep. Yep.
no. But no, it's like it's it's a well built machine. No innovation really. Like the head is probably the bit they innovated the most because it's their own custom head.
I
But that
have
doesn't
problems with that
take.
too.
Yeah, but it doesn't take that long to do.
No, and we've seen that it doesn't take a long time to do because how long's the AD5M been out, right?
Yeah.
We have coined the AD5M in the Discord as the poverty P1P, but now the Centauri has to take that role. Now, the concern that we have is the same concern that I've had with my Elegoo printers since day one, and it's part availability, right? So I have two of the OG Jupiters, right? Their first Jupiter with the door rather than the lift-off lid. Much better design. You can't buy the screens for them anymore. They don't sell them. And when they do,
That's a good point.
the screen is like $500. So when these machines fail, not if, when the screens fail, I'm throwing them out. Because there's no easy method of replacing the parts. I've got a bunch of the OG RGB screens because I recognized they were as soon as they announced the Mars 2, I bought like 5 of the OG Mars screens at $60 a piece for a $200 resin printer.
That's still quite expensive.
It is very expensive. But the reason I bought the screens is because when the machines die, I take the machine and I take a screen and I take it down to my local makerspace and I say, this is your problem if you want it. Here's the parts to fix it. Here's how to fix it. I don't care to fix it. And Catlet says that's not an Elegoo problem. That's a source vendor problem. Then hold an inventory, right?
Yeah.
If they didn't want it to be a problem, then they would hold an inventory. If they held even a couple hundred piece inventory, the screens don't take up a lot of space. It's not going to cost them a ton of money, but it would enable them to keep machines online. They don't want that. They want you to buy the next machine because they're not making profit on all of that until now, right? As we've seen companies be able to move away from open source and it be perfectly acceptable, okay? Now all of a sudden, companies are locking you into their ecosystems and they're not maintaining their ecosystems across their machines.
Fair,
right?
though, on top of that, they're not earning a profit on the ecosystem. They're not doing you buy into it and then they can profit from the sale of the smaller bits. And that's what actually kind of confuses me is normally you lock an ecosystem down, like what Bambu Lab have done.
Yep.
And then you can start profiting from the smaller purchases that build up over time. Like you can intentionally make a part wear out a little bit earlier and then make a bit more money on the maintenance side if it's easy enough to swap out. It's like why Filament is now being sold under the BBL Lab like name tag. And that's just because they can earn money from that. They don't need to earn money in the machine. They earn it in the material.
Oh yeah,
that you're
they'll earn a bunch
constantly
of
be
money
using.
on the material. Yeah.
But that's when I don't understand the Centuri. Like the spare parts aren't profit making. Like there's not going to be enough people to buy the machine in the first place to justify economy of scale because they're going to either be already invested in other printers because they've left it quite late. But then on the flip side, they've invested a lot of money in equipment to get this done. Like they've got custom aluminium die extruders.
Oh, they must have hundreds of thousands of dollars in mold cost.
They've got the cast injection molders for the cast metal head and base. They're not cheap. Now, they are cheap in China, but they're not that cheap. Like, we're still looking at minimum of like 10 to 15,000 pound like investment.
Yep.
And when your machine is 200 to 400 quid, that is a lot of machines you have to sell because it's not 200, 400 quid of profit. That's 200 and 400 quid before the cost to build the machine. And while they have done, and I will give them that, from that picture that you showed of the motherboard, they've done a good job at getting rid of everything that isn't needed in
Oh
a
yeah, there's a
printer.
lot of air underneath that printer.
Oh yeah. The motherboard is tiny and cut down. The power supply is tiny and cut down. I'd say that power supply is a 25 quid power supply. Probably actually a 10 quidder because they're not going to the full safety compliance.
Keep going, because they're that so stuff that you have to buy that you're not manufacturing yourself, you can get those economies of scale real cheap. They're
Yeah.
likely getting those power supplies sub $5.
Yeah, it
Because
would not surprise me.
it in a business world, right? If you are not producing a product for half of what you're selling it for, you're not making money. Right? Because ultimately, unless you're doing only direct to consumer sales, you have to pay somebody else's margins too.
Yeah.
Elegoo sells on Amazon.
Amazon will
takes
take a cut.
like 20+%, right? And Elegoo is well in the markets for their filament. And Elegoo makes, in my experience, decent filament. I have poo-pooed their rapid PETG before, but I used it on a recent project, and it worked really well. So I don't know if they've changed some settings. I do find it needs to be way colder than regular PETG at speed. It's clearly not pure PETG, but if that's what you need, right, they're selling filament at $15 to $18 a kilo. We know it costs them considerably less to do it. Elegoo was the first company to come out with the cardboard spools with the glue around the rim so they can run in the AMS. Like, Elegoo has done things that other people have copied. And I have to give them credit where it's due, because they do make consistently decent filament.
Yeah.
They make it at a good price that I can get fast on Amazon. They don't make it in America. Fine. We do prefer printed solid filament, but there are some times where we have customers that require a specific material, and that's it, right? And we can't change. So that kind of is what it is. But I think they're making profit on the filament, and so they're willing to maybe either take very small profit or even take a loss on these machines to get more of a hold on the name.
Yeah.
The name is important, because when you look for filament for your printer, well, what's the first thing you're going to look for, right? Elegoo filament, Anycubic filament, Bambu filament, Prusa filament, Cheedy filament, Soraya filament, right? Now, Soraya a resin company. P.O. Poly filament, right?
Yeah.
You'll find it. So the brand name is, to me, what's important. So maybe that's it. Maybe the game is just brand recognition. But Elegoo's
Actually,
never...
I think you're onto something. Like, if you recontextualize the machine, instead of being a product, it's a marketing tool. Like, if you have a marketing budget, normally people put into flyers or adverts.
SEO.
But if you're
and other
making a
BS.
machine for, like, let's say if they're selling it 250 quid, they're probably if they do want to earn money on it, it's going to be 150, maybe even 200 quid to make.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they were making nothing on it with the quality of the parts. Like, they've got glass. Glass is not the cheapest thing to machine. It's not the most expensive, but it's not the cheapest. So if you recontextualize it as this printer is actually a marketing budget instead of a manufacturing budget, I can actually see the profit margin in this now, because it's not they're not burning it on Google ads. They're burning it on YouTube reviews of people buying a cheap machine, and then people go to the website.
They're
and then
not
they
burning
see
it on
there's
YouTube
filament.
reviews. They refuse to pay me $1,000 for 4 videos. They ain't burning shit on YouTube
People on
reviews.
YouTube who don't value their time and will make a review for free.
There it is. There's the
There we
one.
go.
And like, look, don't get me wrong, right? If they had come to us and said, "Hey, do you want to, check out this machine for for one live stream?" I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I do that for companies all the time. We don't take money for unboxings or anything like that yet. Soon TM. We're almost at that 50,000 mark, and that my prices go up at 50K. Yes, I'm being petty. But it's just one of those cases where it's like, you know, that could make good sense. So let's think about it, right? Let's say it's costing them $150 to manufacture the Centauri, and they're selling it at $200. With some ad revenue and all that, let's call it that they're basically breaking even on this machine, or maybe they're losing 10, 20 bucks.
Yeah.
Brother, that is the cheapest marketing you're ever going to get. Because it's now
Honestly,
selling
it
your
is.
filament at the same time. Son of a bitch. That's... Have
It's
we
actually
just
kinda
figured
smart.
this? Have we just figured out what companies are doing? Like, where they're taking these machines, they're selling them at basically a loss, and they're calling it marketing.
It explains the why that they're not supporting it in like long term, because they're not intending like a marketing campaign. When they're
Yeah.
done with it, they're done with it.
Huh.
Have we? I don't like this future we live in anymore.
Speaking of the future, John JT asks, all the screams about these other manufacturers not being open source, what cause are those people going to champion now? So basically, he said, Grant has always been a pretty even view on open source, but others just lost their soapbox. I like open source, but I recognize that open source comes with a price.
Yeah.
And that price is companies have to make their money fast. And they likely have a lot higher cost associated with it. Sovol is still reasonably open source. Prusa open sources some things. They're keeping a lot of their new technology stuff closed sources. All it's going to do is just give competitors the upper edge. And a lot of that is because not everybody is playing by the same rules. If we had a way to add teeth to open source, I think we'd see more open source, especially from companies like Elegoo, Bambu, Creality, these low-cost providers, because they could produce a machine utilizing open source, give back to the community, and at the same time benefit from the research other people have done. Los Texas YouTubers need a union. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And, Thomas said, Jason, obviously LDO Jason, championing open source, donates to the open source projects. Obviously, one of the main reasons Voron is, whatever the hell they want to call themselves. But consumers don't care because they care about price. And the Centauri is going to sell. I don't care how good the machine is. It's going to sell because it's cheap. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to sell because it's cheap.
It's going to sell to print farms because they can now buy multiple for the same price as other things. It gives you a level of reliability because if one machine goes down, well, I don't care. For 3 machines worth of money, I have uptime with other machines. Yep. Like, there is a inherent benefit of being cheap. And when your cheap is very high value, there's a lot of benefit to taking a bit of a bullet in some of the areas. Like the quality might be slightly less than a Bambu Lab machine. Well,
I can buy 3
3
of them for an X1.
Yeah, buy 3 for an X1, slow it down 10%, you get your quality back, and oh no, I'm 10% slow. Who cares? You've got 3 machines.
I say, you're 10% slower on one machine, and now you're 200% faster on the other 2 machines.
Yeah.
So you're getting more throughput. I was just talking to a fan, hey Pip, about this. They reached out for us to take over some of like their Kickstarter for Filament. They're working on a Kickstarter, and it came down to price, right? It's a 6-hour print. They wanted it basically for, I'm not going to say the amount, but they had good margins. Their margins were appropriate. And I looked at it and said, dude, I wouldn't print this part for what you're trying to retail it for, let alone what you want to do it for. This, I said, so here's what you need to do. It's time to build your own print farm. And there, it's like 300 or 500 pieces they needed. It's not a ton, but at 6 hours of print, that adds up. I said, you need to get yourself a farm of either A1s, A1 minis, if you can fit it, which I don't think they could, or my preferred one, the 85M, because it'll be much quieter because you don't have the moving bed as well. And, you'll have less potential issues there. Or maybe the Centauris. right? Because at that price point, you'll pay back the machines really, really fast. And when you're the one taking on the cost of doing the manufacturing rather than outsourcing it, you're not paying somebody else's profit margins. They'd be paying my profit margins, and my profit margins don't account for this. And I said, this is what you want to do. I said, based on what you want to sell it for, based on what your profit margins are, here's your payback period. Their payback period would almost, if they went with 10 machines, which is probably more than they need, but if they went with 10 machines, their payback period would almost be 500 parts. It was like 550.
That's nothing.
No, it was
So
basically
quick.
nothing. And that's a valid business model. And I said, and at that point, once you pay off the machines, they owe you nothing. Resell them for half price. You'll easily sell an 85M for $150. I can think of half a dozen people that would buy it in our Discord for $150. And so there's a lot of value when you look at these cheap machines, like you said, for print farms. But then we get into the data problem, right? These cloud services, and even Prussia's new cloud service has some grumblings from me about it. I haven't dug into it enough. They have to play by EU laws, but I'm still a little worried about it. Because if you do want to use Prussia's new click print software that they have, you have to upload the file to printables. It'll do all the slicing and stuff for you on the app and all that, which is cool. But I think it's more for printing directly from printables.
Yeah.
Which I like. I think that that's a cool feature. One I will not use, but I think it's cool. And I think they actually did it right with this whole like, hey, we're gonna give it out to a few people. Everybody gets 10 invites. When you invite someone, now they get 10 invites. So it's a pyramid scheme of beta testing, which is super cool.
Actually, I kind of vibe with that. It makes sense. It's good for the servers because it's not an immediate load.
Yeah, it's not an immediate load.
And that's where most things break.
Josh Edlin says it doesn't have to be on printables. Interesting. I thought it did. Excuse me.
Neat.
But it does have to be uploaded to Prusia. Right. Yeah. Well, it has to be uploaded to their servers to do the slicing. What I want to know is how much they're paying in server costs to do the slicing. But that's for a few months down the road when I just message Mickey and be like, hey, I am so curious. What are you guys paying in server costs on this? Because it can't be.
It can't be cheap.
No, it can't be.
It can't be. That is actual raw processing. That's not data management. That's processing. Yeah. Processing gets expensive quite quick.
Yep. So King Nickman says, do we have some good high-flow hot ends from these new printers available on AliExpress? Pia Poly has Lancer, but they can't ship everywhere. So I'm going to be trying out the new Fadus SiC nozzles, the silicon carbide.
Silicon carbide.
Yeah.
They look good. They look really good.
They do.
They just make some absolutely bonkers hot end designs.
They do, and they've also had some pretty bonkers intellectual property issues. So I think they're sending me a 0.4 and a 0.6. I just got in the high flow obsidians from E3D for the neck extruders. Been running the high flow obsidian on the Bambu since it came out, and I love it. I don't know if I can recommend other hot ends, but like the Cheaty hot end, by the way, the hot end for the +4 is $45. That is a lot of money for a cheap hot end. And that's where I'm thinking maybe they're making their money on the hot ends, but Cheaty at $800.
Is that a hardened hot end or is that a brass?
It's got a hardened tip. The entire nozzle is not hardened. They're taking out of the book of Diamondback and they're just putting a little hardened tip in there. They don't tell you how hard it is.
The blades are hardened.
The what?
The high flow blades.
Oh, it's not high flow.
Oh, it's not high flow.
Exactly.
It's 45 quid for not high flow.
And exactly. But I can tell you, I'm getting 25 out of it. 25 cubic millimeters a second.
Well, that's good.
I mean, I'm printing PETG at 282, but I'm getting
Okay, that's less good. Less good. I take it back.
Well, okay, high-speed printers printing Prussian PETG, you're printing at 270 just to start. Right, 275 is pretty normal. Prussian PETG for me, I start at 260 on normal, like on the Mark IV. 260, 265. Okay. Mark 4S goes to 270. The +4. I had the hot end. It fell on the floor.
You can tell how out of touch I am when it comes to hot ends because I'm like, oh no, I print my Prussian at 250 and I get 35 cubic millimeters per second.
Oh yeah, I can't do that.
I've ruined myself with High flow
Yeah,
Hotends is my
there's their
standard.
nozzle. This is the old variant, which I didn't know they had 2 variants because, of course, they silently updated their nozzles. This one is known to clog and cause problems because it is all steel. They went to one that has a ceramic heat break on it. But no, I can see right through it. So there's no high flow in it. But companies are claiming high flow without high flow nozzles because they're printing very, very hot. But yeah, this whole thing is $45. And, when it's a Bambu clone. Call it what it is. It's a Bambu clone.
It's a Bambu clone.
But you're selling it for double what Bambu sells it for. And it's like, all right, guys. And you're only like $20 less than what the E3D high flow is going to cost me. But no one makes it for the +4. So it's like, well, okay. Cool. By the way, I'm now almost 2 months. Cheaty still hasn't returned my emails. Which is, the funny thing is, my contact at Cheaty reached out because they wanted to send me something. And I said, hey, about the support email. They're like, we don't see it. I'm like, I've replied to it 3 times. She's like, oh yeah, I can see that. So why hasn't anybody replied to me? Even from my official email that they know it's me. For my grant at 3dmusketeers.com email.
Oh.
Like, not even from the YouTube at 3D Musketeers. I did it for my real one. But
oh no.
Technically, the first one was sent during Chinese New Year. Customer service friggin' matters.
That's Chinese New Year, though. Like, I'll give them a pass for that.
The other 2 were sent after, though.
To the same, email chain or separate?
Same email chain.
I won't give it a pass, but I can see how it could slip through the gaps. Like, Chinese New Year is as big as, the Christmas holiday period it is for the rest of the world. I will give them that. And
to my contact's credit, I asked her some photos. I always want to see what celebrations are like around the world, and she sent me some really cool photos. So
they are really good over there.
Oh yeah, dude, they go hard in the paint. I love it.
But no, this leads me to a good question. 45 quid for a nozzle, is that actually a lot?
No,
or is it just a lot
for the hot end?
For the hot end.
Nozzles are 20.
Is that actually a lot, though? Because we come from a world where, a brass nozzle is a quid. And as much as E3D makes the best stuff, you could buy basically the same thing for 80% discount. Now we're getting into the price where...
And why are you able to do that? Why are you able to buy it for 80% discount versus E3D?
Open source.
Because they open sourced it. Other companies took those engineering drawings and just made the product. Rather than doing none of the engineering work, they just copied the product. And that's why open source in this industry will continue to fail until we do something about it. I champion open source. I love that companies go open source. But they also have to recognize that they're just handing their competitors the cheat sheet on how to do it right.
It's why I don't say I'm open source. Our CAD files are available on GitHub. Our entire firmware stack is available on GitHub. But as long as I don't put the word open source, they can't clone it. It's the only difference. But no, going back to the question, $45 for a full hot end, it's an expensive reel of filament. Is that an acceptable price?
Not when I only needed a heater. They don't sell the heater separately.
They don't sell the heater separately?
Nope, and I only needed a heater. You can see from the very crappy solderless cribs that I put on there to try to use... The closest heater that fits is the Neptune 4 Pro, and it's a little big. Within 10 seconds of turning it on, I heard a crack. So I knew that it died. And then, it died. So, yeah. They don't sell the heaters. They don't sell the thermistors. They don't sell the Molex connectors that they use. So you're literally forced to buy a whole new hot end. Which I am very much not a fan of. So, yeah. So, yes, I have a problem paying $45 for a heater. I don't have a problem paying $45 for a whole hot end, but when you're cloning Bambu, you should be matching Bambu's prices. Right? At least that's what I think. I don't know. I could be wrong there, but that's... We don't know anything about the Centauri's parts, what they're going to cost. We have no idea, right? Because, look, let's say a hot end is $20 on the Centauri. A Hotend is 10% of the cost of the printer. Okay, so you're gonna go buy a $200 printer, you clog a nozzle, it's $20. You've just spent 10% of your printer.
Honestly, if anything went wrong, I'm just buying a new printer. It's that cheap.
That's what
The
they
time
want.
it costs to repair it is going to be expensive. Oh, I hate this. I'm going back into it's marketing. They're selling a printer as a marketing product, and I love it.
I'm so upset by this because it literally
I hate
is.
how much it fits the mindset. It makes sense now that I've figured it out.
I'm also upset by this. We're both sitting here like grumbling, like
They've done a good job with their marketing.
Damn, their like. I think we're upset because we didn't notice it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've done a fantastic job. If we are right, and they've gone down the Lost in Tech saying, I think you're both sniffing Magigoo.
No,
I
sir.
feel it right now.
My preferred vapor-based products are your nanopolymer adhesive and 3D gloop. Do not sniff either one of them. But if I'm going to be really serious, I'm going to go for this Vario Smile Crown Resin. If I'm going to sniff
It's got
something.
smile in the name. Must be happy.
Considering how much this bottle is, yeah, it better be happy.
Happy little cancer molecules.
No. This is FDA certified biocompatible resin.
Is it?
It's crown resin. It's for making crowns.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just I heard the word smile and I was like,
Versio Smile Crown Plus. 250-gram bottle. Take a guess.
Okay. You said it was medical certified.
Yep.
$100.
No. You're not even close.
Not even close.
No.
200?
You're getting closer.
Oh no. 300?
250. It's $1 a gram.
Oh. Wait, let me Google how much gold is.
It's more than $1 a gram.
Cost. How much is 1 gram of gold in the UK?
Jesse with the $9.99. Thank you very much. Thank you for helping keep these streams ad free. Like the stream while you're at it. 156 people watching.
Okay, no. It's $92 a gram.
Yeah, gold's really expensive. Sip of Coffee says just go straight for acetone inhalation. If your lungs are made of ABS, go for it, baby. Makes them nice and smooth. Yeah, we
Oh, here we go. It's silver. Silver is $1 a gram.
Don't they make crowns out of silver?
Yeah. In the UK, it's 80 pence per gram.
Yeah.
You've got a bottle of liquid silver.
John Stern says, buy some acupuncture needles and a 1.5 millimeter brass rod. You rarely need to throw out a clogged nozzle. Talk to me about my my blown apart high flow bamboo nozzle from E3D, because nope, doesn't work to clear out high flow nozzles. Once you clog a high flow nozzle, it's pretty much over. I tried cold pulls, I tried forcing the clog out, and what I realized I was actually doing was pushing the insert out. As the insert flew across my garage at Mach Jesus, and I found it burning into the scraps of carpet. So I have carpet in my garage. When we recarpeted the house, I took the carpet from the house with the pad and put it in the garage, so I have something nice to stand on when I'm in the garage. And it burned a hole in it.
APD said that the pre-order for the Hotend kit is $18.99.
Pre-order.
That's a good price though. If they keep the price and they don't raise it after pre-order, that is a good price.
Why are the build plates $40? So MLV says, yeah, the Hotends are the Centauri Carbon, right? So that's the hardened Hotend. 20 quid or 20 euro versus 40 for the build plate. That's expensive build plates.
That is an expensive build plate.
Build plates are much cheaper to do than that. Like, what are Prusa build plates? I think Prusa build plates are less. Now I'm curious. To know how much a build plate is.
See, I'm out of touch with build plate prices because my build plates are 120 quid.
I have so many in stock. Let me see. $35 for a Prusa sheet. $35 for a smooth sheet Prusa. 47 if you want the satin, but a smooth sheet is 35. Textured is 40. So,
Yeah, that's not that bad of a price.
but that's Prusa. They make them all in-house.
They also have economy of scale for Prusa.
No.
And I don't know what economy of scale Elegoo have for this.
It's a 256 build plate. Just make it fit Bambu build plates and you're done. The economies of scale is already there. It's already there.
You got me on that. You've got me on that one. You've got me on that one.
Like, I'm sorry. If you're gonna clone them, just clone the damn build plate too. Like, look. You said we're gonna copy your homework and we're gonna change a couple of things. No one cares if you copy it. We all know you did it. Give us cheap build plates. Lots of text.
That might be the profit point.
Huh?
The build plate might be the profit point. The only thing they have going.
It could be, but like, dude, I rarely mess with build plates. Like, I don't think I've torn 2 build plates and I've broken like 3 glass ones. But I've torn 2 build plates in my days.
Oh, it might be 3 build plates for 40 euros. Not 1.
Oh, 3 for 40.
That's actually not bad then.
That's fine.
I'll give them that. That's good. I take it back. Take it back.
That's actually really good.
But once again, they're showing this is just the budget king now.
Well, we've seen build plates for Bambu. I'm going to use Bambu as the de facto standard for cost here. So we've seen third-party build plates for Bambu. I routinely see them under $10.
Yeah.
And they'll go on sale on Amazon for under $10. So yeah, you might make a couple of bucks on that. Build plates are nice and cheap to ship because they're thin. You put them in like a padded envelope and you send it.
Yep.
Right? And you can pack a ton of them into a container.
Oh, yeah.
I think you'll overload the container before you overload.
I mean, it's spring steel. It's a thin sheet of spring steel. You will overload the container before you fill it up with volume because it's steel.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
and unless you're doing something like hyper bespoke, they're going to be nice and like disposably cheap.
And there's no reason for them not to be. Now, I will say, if you're new to the game and you're printing PETG on a smooth plate and you don't know how to keep your plates properly, seasoned and all that, you're going to have a bad time. So maybe they're making it cheap enough. I don't know.
Yeah, but their plates, they say what materials can go on it. And they say the smooth side is only for PLA. The textured side is for every other material.
Like anyone is ever going to follow that. Do you know how many like Print Fix Fridays I've passed over because it was like, oh, I printed PETG on a cool plate on my Bambu? Like,
I'm not going to admit I've done the exact same, and I should know better.
And it tore the cool plate.
Well, it's not sticking very well. Let's put this massive ass PETG part on the smooth side of a build plate, and it destroyed it. I don't know why I was expecting different.
I will say, if you clean your plates with Windex or some ammonia-based glass cleaner, I never have problems. Never. I've never had a PETG part rip a build plate.
Really?
Yep.
I've had some destroy the textured side after probably like 200 kilos going through to it, but that is probably just wear and tear instead of the material.
Cheap build plates do that. Sorry. Cheap build plates do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now mind you, I can't print textured build plates for the most part in Florida. It's too humid.
Interesting.
The only way I can do it is with enclosed printers. So like if I put even on the XL, like if I put the texture plate that I have for the XL on it, nothing sticks. Nothing sticks.
Why do I want to send you one of our build plates now? Do you have any machine that can do a 310 by 310 plate?
I mean, the XL can do whatever size you put on it. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But
I'll send you a 310 by 310 plate. We've got a custom blend of PEI that should work for Florida weather because it works for UK weather.
well, so the Core 1, right, my first enclosed Prusa, perfectly fine. No issues at all. Now, Prusa's build plates are different. They're a glossy PEI, where most of these textured PEI plates are more of like a matte texture,
Yeah.
right? So like the Honey Badger plate with the bamboo, if the door's open, bad news bears. If it's closed, it's totally fine.
Interesting.
Oh, apparently it'll also fit on my trident. About that trident.
Very interesting.
The chat's making fun of us because we tangent too much. This is what you signed up for.
You enjoy us going down these tangents.
Yeah.
It's where you get to see all the things we shouldn't be talking about.
Sip of Coffee asks, why are people still using open printers at home? Are they not worried about the fumes at all? Not that closed is
Not
the
really a
solution,
problem.
but still better. It's not.
It's not a problem.
It's not.
Don't print ABS. That's the problem. Every other material is generally fine. If it's safe to be implanted into the body, it's generally safe to be around. There's been mostly recently, and a lot of the people haven't picked up on the research papers coming out, but there has been a load of VOC testing and microparticulate testing. And the long, short answer is not really a problem.
Your plastic cutting boards are posing more of a risk to your plastic intake than a printer likely ever will. Now, with that being said, I don't want a 3D printer on your bedside table with you facing it all night. That's stupid. If you can smell it, it's time to leave the room, right? But yeah, you don't print ABS, ASA, nylon on open frame printers anyways. So I don't see it as that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't see it as that big of a deal, and I have 28 machines in this 170 square foot space.
Even like the health and safety for like print farm level of you have 100 machines in a factory, they really don't care about that sort of thing. It's not a high enough risk to exposure ratio to justify anything, and that includes if you're printing ABS in big numbers.
Yep.
At the end of the day, if it's bad, there's normally a data tech sheet for it because they have to. Like you will buy an ABS reel and it will say exactly what's in that ABS for the most part. They won't tell you the exact blend, but they will tell you the safety side of it. And if it says, hey, this is a thing, then maybe consider it. Like you don't want to be printing, say, PTFE at a certain temperature.
Formaldehyde, right? That it off gases?
I don't think I know one of them. It's either PTFE or something else.
It's Teflon.
It turns into a neurotoxin, just straight up neurotoxin. And that says it on the data tech sheet. It says everything below this level is completely safe. Everything above this level becomes dangerous.
It's a fluoropolymer, but what is it?
The F is the hint. It says Lost in Tech.
Fluorine, yeah.
It's POM that turns into formaldehyde. Thank you, Dev. But yeah, most materials that you're printing on your printers, so your PETGs, your PETCs, your PETs, your nylons, your polycarbonates, your PLAs.
They're copolyesters. You have nothing to worry about.
You're fine. You're honestly fine. Like, I wouldn't be putting a respirator into a printer and flowing it through, but even the data then says it's not really an issue. You're not making as many microplastics that a lot of people are assuming because it's a liquid, it's adhering to itself. Now, if you are cutting, that is a different matter. And if you are lasering when you're actually vaporizing the material, that's a completely different ballgame.
Yep.
But melting tends to be very safe. It's why you go to injection molding companies and they're using ABS and there's no ventilation because even they know at that stage, it's not great to be around, but the exposure is so low versus the time you're around it, your body will heal itself faster than it gets damaged. For the most part.
A lot of times they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. Their profit margins are better than your health.
Capitalism. Apparently, TPU turns to cyanide when you burn it.
Yes. So I did some work at the RAF. I was working on the E4 Centuries or E5 Centuries. So the AWACS, the big ones with the little radar on the top.
Yeah,
We
the planes with the little hats that spin.
they're adorable. Really scary to be on the inside because the technology is so outdated. And you can just strip like the entire plane while you're up there, which is what I was doing at some stages. But one of the safety things that they told us was the electrical conduits are all TPU based, and they run very high voltages. And if something goes wrong, they literally said when you're stripping the machine, if you see any white powder anywhere, you press that button on the wall all along, and you evacuate the plane because that is cyanide. Didn't know that. That was really fun. It's really fun.
It tastes like almonds.
You can smell it in the air.
Yeah, it smells like almonds, right?
It does smell like almonds.
Yeah, it should.
And copper. But if you're smelling almonds and copper, just turn around and leave.
Why can I smell almonds? Dev Fighter said. Who's roasting almonds? And everyone and like all the safety guys just like look over at you. Yeah,
Yep.
if you ever want to just like mess with safety people, be like, does anyone smell almonds?
Or the other one is I can't remember the exact wording. It changes depending on the region, but if you just say anything electrical related, like, oh, can you smell silicon in the air? They go instantly. Instantly. The magic blue smoke has a very unique smell, and you say you smell that and people start bricking it instantly.
Titan 3D, they're catching up, but they said the quality isn't there on all the carbons. Their printer came with a 10mm skew.
What?
So it's very rhombus instead of square. Your belt lengths are definitely wrong. You're off a few teeth. 10 mil.
Oh.
How is it moving?
It can't be the machine is out of square because it's cast. So unless the frame is broken, it can't be that. It must
It's
just
belt
be
tension.
something caught. Something must have caught the belt underneath and just let it spin on one side.
No. This is the XY. The XY's messing.
Oh, the XY. What the hell did they do?
Yeah, so instead of a square, it's... Wait, can I make a rhombus? Yeah, there you go. It's more like... That's more like a diamond rather than a square.
That would bind so... I'm surprised. That is awful.
But this is... So... This is one of those cases where I hate it. Spurluck said it. Never underestimate FedEx. I'm not certain it's Elegoo's fault. We've seen what shipping companies can do. It is Elegoo's fault for not doing proper testing. I saw Uncle Jesse tweeted out a photo where he got tagged a bunch of times of a Centauri Carbon where the glass door was broken.
Yep.
But it was broken in shipping, and Elegoo was taking care of it.
It's fair. There's not much you can do about that. Shipping companies are notoriously bad. We've had a forklift ram into the side of ours, and they tried to blame it on us. Spoiler:
you have a forklift.
We borrow a forklift, but no, that's not why. But no matter what you package your material in, shipping companies will find a way to test it in every way.
Yeah, you know how you say when you make a product idiot-proof, the world builds a better idiot? Most of them are in the shipping companies. I'm so sorry for those that work in the shipping companies. And it's likely not the people that are the problem. Nope. It's the automation stuff that tends to make it bad. But I will still blame the higher-ups for enabling that kind of automation. And as Lost Nexus, you can't courier-proof anything. It got so bad for us when we were doing full-color parts. There was a certain area in New York that was a dead zone. Anything we sent there got lost. And the bad one was for a quinceañera. So those who don't know what that is, that's a 15-year-old celebration for a Latin female. Okay, quinceañera. And yeah, you ever pissed off a Latin woman before? Especially one who's the mother of the person who's supposed to have the part for their birthday, and it got lost in the mail? Homie, the things that woman said to me are not things that I would ever want to repeat. She fully recognized it wasn't my fault, but when we sent the replacement, it also got lost. To the point where this was before AirTags were a thing.
Yeah.
So I bought a whistle tracker. They're for dogs or for animals. They're GPS trackers. I paid for a cell phone plan, and then I found to wire past it because it would ping once every 24 hours for 3 days, and it would die. That's it. It was not very good battery, but I found a way around its charging circuits. When you were charging it, you couldn't run it. So I found the battery. I just wired in a bigger battery into it and shipped it. We found where it was. They're like, you don't know it's there. I said, I have GPS coordinates accurate to within half a foot of where this thing is located. I know it's here. Found the damn box. I was very upset by this. I was able to get it back. There have been so many times where couriers have made the mistake. And so I'm not certain that I would blame Elegoo for that problem. It was like, what carrier? Lost Texas, only Grant would bug his own parcels. Buddy, when you got Latin women threatening you with more than a chancla, you're bugging it, okay? Anytime we have a job that's worth more than 10 grand, I'm bugging it every time. And
to be honest, the AirTags are so cheap nowadays. They're actually cheaper than those little vibration stickers you put on the side of the boxes.
Yep. Nowadays, we use an AirTag and a Samsung Galaxy tag. We use one of both. Yep. And I put them in a envelope that already has a label on it to return back to me. So
that's smart.
It all goes out to the customer. The customer knows there's a package in there. They don't open. They put that right back in the mail and it goes back to us. And if it doesn't, I know where it is. Because between those two, any cell phone on the market picks them up. And as soon as they leave my facility, I mark them as missing. So every single time they get picked up by a phone, I get a notification.
That's good. That's smart.
Yeah, it's how we found out Amber accidentally threw one out. Because we saw it ping in the landfill. It has not pinged since 2021. I can still pull it up because it will always show you the last ping. So good luck and Godspeed, comrade. It made it to the Polk County landfill.
That's brilliant. Actually brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. But yeah, it has become way easier to do it. And I'm surprised more printer companies don't. You should do stuff like that. Because it's not... The thing the tags won't tell you is like G-forces, but you can put shock watches on it and do it that way. But, dude, one lost shipment, even if you don't get the tags back... It pays
hundreds of them back.
Yeah.
Like, also, if you're not insuring your parcels, please insure your parcels.
Always.
Do it. Don't risk it.
Insure for full value, and if it is above a couple $1,000s US, use UPS Capital. Not UPS, the shipping company. UPS Capital, their actual insurance broker that will write you a real paper insurance policy for the products that are being shipped. And oh man, when the UPS people see that it's insured with UPS Capital, I've never had boxes arrive in as close to perfect condition as it was with the UPS Capital stuff. Now, mind you,
steal that.
Oh yeah. So like, when we ship scanners,
okay.
I insure them for full value. So $20,000 to $35,000, or for the big one, $60,000. A $20,000 insurance plan is about $400.
That's not bad.
That's really, really good.
That's really reasonable.
And because it's a real insurance policy, it does have a deductible. It's a $100 deductible to use it, but that's fine. Again.
Yep.
So what we do is we insure for $5,000 above replacement cost so that we're covered for the deductible and everything like that. So we're covered for the cost, the deductible, and even people at UPS Capital said, you're fine. They only sell them in increments of $1,000 and like, all right, 20, 25, no big deal. 35, go to 40, no big deal. And it's only a couple of bucks more. So yeah, for those that didn't know, UPS Capital is great for that. They don't pay me to say that, but they do.
I didn't know that. I'm going to take that.
That's great. It's well worth it. I've had one scanner get damaged in transit, and they paid for it to go back to the manufacturer to get fully recalibrated and then get sent back to me. No questions asked.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Like, so the option was to either replace it or get it recertified. They're like, well, what's the cost of getting it recertified? I said, well, it's 3 to 6 months and about $3,000. They said, are you okay without having it for that time? I said, cover my losses during that time. If I need the scanner, I'll let you know. Cover my losses to either rent one or replace it for that amount of time, and we're good. And they were some of the easiest companies to work with. I've never worked with better insurance-wise. So, and manufacturers could do it, but on a $200 or $300 printer, they don't care.
There's no point.
Like, I doubt on the Centauri Carbon that's damaged like that Elegoo's even going to ask for it back.
It probably costs more to ask for it back and send another.
Oh yeah, just send another one.
Like they're not going to recycle anything. There's no money in that.
Nope.
They're going to put a brand new machine in the mail, ship it over to you. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. I mean, because the cost to ship something that large, like to ship a bamboo, I shipped the bamboo from Texas to Florida, $68.
That's
no insurance. That's no insurance. $68.
No insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit high.
It's the size. So the size, dimensional.
It's volumetric
right?
weight.
Yeah, it's volumetric weight. Dimensional.
It's what we have to suffer with. It's all volumetric.
Yeah.
It's the only downside of pre-built machines.
But
big ship.
The thing with Elegoo, last I checked, they don't have a USA Nexus. They might now, but they didn't previously. So you're not just shipping it to, like, Bambu has an operation in Texas, right? Now, mind you, I bought a machine out of Texas, and that was what it cost me to ship it. So Elegoo is paying to have it shipped to China. Or if they have a warehouse in the States,
it's going to be a little bit more expensive.
It's going to be much more expensive. And even at $70 to ship it across the country, it doesn't, when it's a $200 printer, doesn't make sense. DevMiner says Elegoo is shipping 10 Centauri Carbons to my friend's print farm for €20.
I just read that.
Yeah, I'm not certain how your friend got charged shipping. I don't think they're charging shipping on the Centauri Carbons, but yeah, combined. Of course, yeah, because if they're coming out of China, there is some subsidies associated with that.
Yeah.
So
the government does love exporting from China.
Yep.
And they will subsidize quite a lot. It's why even for us, we air freight everything from China, because it's actually cheaper to air freight for us than it is to organize our own shipping output, because we're organizing it. We don't get the Chinese subsidies. But if we air freight it, they can organize it, and it ends up being still a bit more expensive, but I'm not waiting 45 days.
Yeah.
I'm waiting 5 days.
Yep. And when we look at
having a government that loves supporting their companies, wow. Not salty at all. Thank you, Brexit.
Not touching that with a 10-foot pole. So when we look at
geopolitics, let's go.
Don't even talk about politics with me right now. When we look at this new machine, I think that it's going to have the same impact that Elegoo had on the resin market. So the Anycubic Photon before the Mars came out was a $700 printer.
Yep.
Which is still cheaper than any other printer on the market, right? When Elegoo came out, instantly the price of the Photon went down to $500, then $400, then $300, then $200. And Anycubic, who was sitting on their laurels making a ton of money, all of a sudden had to now play the price game. We are going to see other printers come down in price. It is going to happen. Now, the question is it too little too late, or is Elegoo entering at the right time? Do you know what's happening this month?
Isn't it supposed to be the release of the new Bambu Lab printer?
If all goes correct, right? They said Q1. Well, it ends in March.
Q1's ending.
Right? It ends in, what, 29 days or something?
Yep.
but I think we all kind of recognize that this new Bambu printer isn't going to be in the price class of the others.
No.
From the leaks that we've seen, from the leaks that I've had confirmed, it's going to be more than an X1 Carbon. Now, is that going to help Bambu or hurt Bambu? I don't know. We will see how the community reacts to it, especially with all the negative press Bambu has gotten recently with their firmware and everything like that. You know, software, firmware, Orca slicer, parting ways, and that kind of thing. I think that that's going to be interesting. I don't think that the price point is going to impact anything on the consumer market, but I'll be curious if the options of the Centauri and Centauri Carbon, especially if they get some sort of MMU or AMS style multicolor upgrade at some point down the line, if that will absolutely impact, you know, what we're seeing from the Bambu A1 minis and A1s. Because certainly if you're buying A1s and A1 minis for print farms because you want cheap printers that are going to work, you've been raising an eyebrow at the Centauri.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting position because it keeps playing in my head. I think it is a good time that they've released. Like, it doesn't matter when they release. The fact that the machine is 250 quid means they're winning. It doesn't matter if they did it 6 months ago or in 6 months.
I think if they did it 6 months or a year ago, it would have been better because they would have captured more of the market. I would argue that right now, so many people have already bought machines and they don't want a second one. They're happy with what they have. They don't want to adopt a new ecosystem. It's why
I don't think it's a misstep, though. That's the main thing. I don't think it's a misstep. Like, I could argue waiting, let the industry grow, and now you've got so many people touting Bambu Lab machines, but they don't want to pay the Bambu price tag. You can now go, well, their machine's 1,000 quid. This one's 250, 300 quid. Let's go with this one. And that can drag even more people in. So it could be a bit of chicken and egg, where if they did launch at the same time as Bambu Lab, they could have been drowned out. Like, I'm pretty sure we can agree Elegoo don't have the marketing budget of Bambu Lab. So if they did release closer to then, they could have just been drowned out. And then the machine could possibly look dated by now because they wouldn't need to change it. I mean, if this came out 6 months ago, I don't think there's any technology difference. I don't think there's any improvement in design.
Not really.
Everything that is available there could have been done 6 months to even a year ago. But like, we've seen the motherboard. The motherboard is the most basic thing I've seen in a while.
You're missing the holiday season, though, right? Launching it at the end of February means they missed the Q4 holiday season buying spree where, you know, I would say 50% or more of owners of 3D printers occur in Q4.
Yeah.
I mean, Bambu was going to try to release this brand new machine, which H2D is supposed to be the name, neither here nor there, but, you know, that was supposed to be released in Q4. They had to push it to Q1. And DevMiner has...
could it be marketing? Like, literally trying not to compete with Bambu. So if it was on the Christmas period and somebody goes high-speed 3D printers, if it was me and I was Bambu, I would be putting a lot of money into Google AdSense, which we know they do.
Oh, they do. God, they put so much money into advertising.
This could be like
though, to be clear.
Yeah, no, they do it great. They're the
Bambu
one company I think are doing marketing perfectly.
Bambu is the masterclass in marketing and advertising in this community. Absolute bloody masterclass.
Could this actually be like almost inverse marketing? Making sure it's in the lull where Bambu Lab aren't going to be focusing their own efforts on spooling something up or their own launch, like literally the quiet time, because it then becomes the loudest voice possible. It's almost like video games where a load of games will like try to be in that like October window and they just get drowned out by whatever the biggest is at the time. And then they die because they don't have the player base because they're all busy playing whatever the hotness is. Whereas if they released at a quiet time, they might have gotten more traction.
Literally says the guy that released a Bambu printer 3 days before Bambu did
Yes, but I didn't know it. We set everything in advance before they came out. And then we were just like, yep, we're screwed.
Yeah. And it's a friggin' dice roll, right?
Yep.
Like, it's so funny to see the comments on our Core 1 video where people are like, yeah, the core one's awesome. The day the Centauri came out with the pricing, why would I buy this instead of buying 3 Centauri Carbons? And my answer is, if you're price conscious like that, where you're very, very, you need the best price, you are never considering Prusa in the first place. There are so many other low-cost options on the market that aren't Prusa. Now, you're giving up a lot of the reasons to buy from Prusa. To me, it's the customer service and support.
Yep.
It's the good wages. It's the nice people. In fact, we're going to have a video coming out. There will be a probably 40-minute behind the scenes on it where we talk with Adam, who's the director of Prusa Polymers. The guy that is responsible for Prusament, Prusa Resin, the build plates, everything that is polymer related to Prusa research. He is the person that oversees it. The talk is, albeit, because we're not allowed to film the production lines for Prusament, even the one it printed solid, I can't film it. I saw a Prusament.
I'm with them on that.
I saw a Prusament line in person in Delaware before I saw it in Prague. Yeah, but like, so that talk is very bland is not the right word. It is very interestingly technical.
Focused.
It is so. If you want to know about the technical stuff, oh my god, this talk is amazing. But there's not like tons of B-roll for us to interstitch because we were in a room, in an office. There's not B-roll for us to interstitch. Yep. But they have a team of 200 people that do this, right? 200 people that run the entirety of Prusa Polymers. Is that why Prusament's more expensive? To some extent. To some extent, it's because they're using some of the highest end machines. I just got it's sitting on the machine right now, but it's a 2 kilo roll. The deviation is 0.008 millimeters. For a 2 kilo roll, 0.008 millimeters.
I'm pretty sure Stratasys put
That's
their tolerances on there.
Microns! That's better than decent, Dev Miner. That's 8 effing microns. That is... the fact that that's measurable as filament's going through that fast. But you buy Prusa because you want that whole experience. You don't buy them because they're cheap. They never were cheap. They're not trying to be cheap. You're getting a premium product. You're paying a premium price for it. Deal with it. If I am building a print farm today, with the money that I have in my bank right now, I'm buying Core Ones. But I also need data security. There are certain things that we as a company need, right? For bigger machines, it's the XL, maybe a Construct 2. I like the Construct 2. The 1XL has opportunity as well, but for me, I'd rather spend the money and go to the 2 because I want the high temperature enclosure. Yeah. But I can totally understand that if you're trying to play the high volume, low profit margin, the Etsy game, right? Yep. Then, yeah, okay, fine. You need cheaper printers, right? DevModix has meanwhile me printing Amazon Basics ABS. Like, I need to talk to the client to see if I can do a video on this. The amount of money that we're making on parts like this will upset people. It will absolutely upset people. The kind of
I'm
margins.
surprised you didn't immediately get triggered by the Amazon Basics.
Oh, I don't care.
Don't use Amazon Basics. Don't risk your machine on Amazon Basics.
It's Hatchbox or Polymaker. Amazon doesn't have their own extrusion lines. Yeah, Amazon just rebrands.
In Europe, they do.
No, not here.
Yeah, because the quality tolerance in Europe is dog shit. They are awful. We've got metal flakes coming through where the extruder line has been like shattering over time. There's no like quality control. Sometimes you get some of the best reels and they are gorgeous. And then other times it's just it's just not worth it in Europe.
It's Overture, which is
Overture, good brand. Yeah. Very good brand.
But
they're not just using Overture, and I know that.
Overture's Polymaker.
Is it?
Last I checked.
Didn't know that.
Last I checked.
That's brilliant.
Hatchbox used to be reliable. I used to buy from Hatchbox. I had a buyer account with Hatchbox. You had to buy 10 kilos at a time. And I would buy 20 to 30 at a time. Then they shut down their buying program. Me as a user could not buy at a lower price. I think I was buying at like a 30% discount. Xylotech did the same thing. They shut down my buyer program. So I can't buy at a reduced rate anymore. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll just go buy from Printed Solid. And then I found out I really like Printed Solid filament. So I've been using Printed Solid for years, and now they're the sponsor of our filament giveaways. So yes, in the pinned comment, you can enter to win some Printed Solid filament. If you don't mind leaving a like on your way there, that'd be great. And if you do want to support the channel for as little as $1 a month, you can do so via the links in that description down below. We are currently seeking sponsors for this podcast. You notice these episodes are like multiple hours apiece. We try to do them weekly. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail at that. My neck last week was just bad. Yeah, my neck, my back, other places, it all just hurts at this point. I'm 35 and my body's falling apart. But if you do want to sponsor the podcast, we do have sponsorship opportunities available. You can email us, YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com. Although soon we will have a dedicated podcast email. If we don't already, I might and just don't know it. But use YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com right now. We do have sponsorship opportunities available, and they do start at a relatively affordable rate. So if you do want to get in before we hit 50K, when the price does go up, hit us up, because we split the money. It's pretty cool. Not that it makes any money, but we split the money.
It's YouTube. It doesn't make anything.
It's YouTube, yeah. And thank you to all
You're
those
not
that
doing
have
it for the YouTube money. You're doing it for the marketing.
Shh. We were just talking about marketing before. Shush. Yes, YouTube is a marketing play. That's what YouTube is for anybody. It's a marketing play.
Oh no, Grant, you need to start making your own printers now.
No.
Your marketing ploy.
So you know why I won't ever do this, right? I've talked about this, and I'll talk
because
about it
other
again.
than it being an absolute ball ache to like get into manufacturing.
Don't even care about that. That's not even the issue for me. I've got the connections for that. I don't want to support it. Because remember, if you make something idiot-proof, the world builds a better idiot. And that's the kind of stuff that I worry about with this Centauri. People that are going to be price dependent. Like, a $200 printer that's impulse buy money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
In this, if you own more than one printer, $200 is like impulse buy territory for you.
I mean, you can literally justify it being like, how many reels of filament is a printer now?
Yep, the Nocturnal.
I remember when I was a wee little kid, I was like, oh, how many Sundays do I have to work until I can buy my Xbox type thing? This is so much cheaper than that. This is, if you're buying, say, $25 a reel filament, all of a sudden, this is like, you're going to probably print more money than the machine costs in 2 weeks.
I like Dreams Void option. It says rebadge the Construct 3D printer. Here they have some awesome QC.
I would not be against a rebadge. So we've already been doing a couple of talks with some quite bigger companies now. That are
bigger than me. There's
side.
Nobody bigger than me.
Unfortunately. Oh no. But yeah, they're not in the additive side per se. But they make other technology that they could sell as a bundle. And they were like, oh, can we look at rebadge? You've got the technology, we've got the market. So yeah, there you go. Could rebadge.
Make sure that it says powered by Construct 3D on it, right? Somewhere on the boot up screen or something. And yeah, Sip of Coffee says Yokapoke, right? Yeah, 100%. Ultimately, though, I do worry that this machine, because Elegoo is not known for, let's go with stellar customer support. I've had decent customer support from them, but not to the levels of other companies. Like, I'm always going to compare Prusa, but now I can bring Bambu
They're
into
the gold standard.
Well,
Bambu's been really good.
Prusa's the gold standard of customer service, period. Not just for 3D printing, period. I have never found a company with better customer support than Prusa, period. Just like straight up, period. I can use Bambu. Bambu has gotten better. I've had really bad examples with them, and I can send you messages from their support team where they outright refused to help me until they realized I was an influencer, and they said, "Oh, let us transfer you to our KOL department," where they were willing to do whatever it took to solve my problem. I said, "No, you will take this machine back. You will give me a label to send it back, and I want my money back." The fact that you are willing to solve my problem because I have a YouTube channel and not just because I'm a regular user it's deplorable. Deplorable.
Yep.
Now, have they gotten better? Maybe. 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 But I'm still salty about that, and it still pisses me off to this day. The fact
I think it should. It's disingenuous. Like, support is supposed to be generic for everyone, and if they have a specialist zone for influencers, it is the same way as just cherry picking your reviews at that point. Like, your influencers are going to say, "I had a really good thing." What they messed up on was they told you they had this area for that.
Totally fair. And I want to dig into this. We're going to tangent a little bit because I'm pissed right now. You're getting a Grant rant. So every company does this except Prusa. Hilariously, if you try to flex your influencer muscles with Prusa, as far as I'm aware, it used to be, I don't know if it still is practice, but practice used to be that whoever you were working with would kick you back to the queue. Make you wait again. That used to be policy. I don't know if it's still policy. I've never tried it. I heard it from somebody else. But every company does this. I mean, technically, Prusa does too, right? I have a contact that I go to ask questions. I'm also friends with this contact, so I asked the question as a friend, not as a KOL. Fine. But otherwise, every company does this. It's why we use burner emails. It's why when I spoke to Cheaty, I only gave them my non-burner email. They only know the non-burner. They don't know the burner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reply, or probably start a new email at this point, from both email accounts a couple of days apart with slightly different wording. That makes it sound somewhat reasonable. And we'll see which one gets a reply faster. Because if they are providing customer support beyond normal to content creators, influencers, whatever the hell you want to call us, that's a problem. Because it means that we are not providing real world examples of what to expect from support to our user base. Right? I have a burner account with Prusa. They don't even know about it. Because every single time I've contacted Prusa support using the burner account, I've never needed to buy parts. We've solved the problem.
That's how it should be done.
Yeah. Zach Smith saying, I need an LTT-esque secret shopper for 3D printing, 3D printer company support. Sure, we just don't have LTT secret shopper money, right? Because, like, you have to buy a printer, you have to have it go through particular problems, and then you try everybody. Right? The thing that pissed me off about Bambu is they said it. We all know that companies do it, right? Like the fact that I had a direct contact to Cyprian, who's the like director of customer support for Bambu Lab, or at the time was. Don't know if he still is. What's up, homie? The fact that I could get directly to him, or them, I don't know if it's person, or I don't know if it's a male or female or non-binary or whatever. So the fact that I could get to them without going through the regular system was in and of itself proof. But the fact that the system, when I gave them my address, they caught that I was flagged as a KOL in their whole thing, and they then transferred me to the KOL department. That was just enough frustration on my end to be like, I'm done. Right? But we check this. They caught one of my burners. Yeah. Right? Bambu didn't catch my real one. They caught my burners. So that's the deal, right? Every company does this. We know they do it. That's why we use burners. And content creators that tell you the support is good, but don't talk about the fact that they use burners to verify the support is actually good and they're not just getting special support, there's a thing there. Dusty's asking, what does KOL stand for? Key opinion leader. It's an influencer, right? It's the industry term for a content creator, influencer, whatever. So key opinion leader is what it means. But yeah, it just pissed me off that Bambu was very public about that. And credit where it's
There's
due.
a charade you play. We all know you play the dance
Yeah.
of corporate. You just don't say it. Like that's the faux part. You don't openly say the behind the scenes what they're doing.
Kind of
and that
lame.
is just really boring.
Opinionio says kind of lame. True. Yes, yeah, there is a bit of a song and dance, and I get that at some point it becomes exhaustive, but it's becoming exhaustive because we as content creators are also being seen as like beta testers and alpha testers when we really shouldn't be.
No.
Right? Like, unless we sign up for it. I've signed up to be beta testers for companies before. It's totally acceptable. But, you know, it's not what we want. Unless we want it. Kilos of llamas. That's a lot of llamas.
That's a lot of
Kind of
llamas.
smelly. TNL had a rant about this. Yeah? Out of all people. Okay. I'm not going to get into that subject.
The spice is thick with this one.
I like Mr. Levy as a person. He's a lovely individual. I have had many conversations with him. And I'm going to leave it there. He's great. Like, just as a person, I love him. He's great.
Every time I've spoken with him, it's been a very enjoyable conversation. I honestly,
I stole his camera rig at Smurf. That was funny.
Oh my god, why?
Because he left it sitting, so I took it and walked away real quick. I brought
He
it back.
lost so much stuff going to Smurf, and you took the only thing he had.
It was. We were laughing about it. We were both cracking up. He's like, "Where'd my camera gear go?" I said, "Oh, I took it. It's fine. I figured you didn't need it. You didn't have anything else, so it's fine." I said, no, don't worry. I even cleaned the lens for you. We're good. We're good. No, we're friends. We're good people, but freaking NDAs and I don't know, agreements for timing of things, and yeah, he got the short end of the stick on the shipping game, but to be fair, a lot of companies see that too. So, with the Centauri, I will be curious to see what longevity looks like for these machines and what Elegoo is going to do to support them, right?
I'd like to see it last longer than 2 years. My gut feeling with this price point, it's probably going to be a 6 month, maybe 8 month dump and run. And I would like to see it last a lot longer because the hardware that they've got, the quality the machine appears to be producing, I'm not seeing any like immediate, oh, I don't like that bit. Like, what was the in the Creality K1? They had an earth wire rubbing directly against a belt. That big faux pas. Don't do that. That's a massive issue. I'm not seeing anything like that with this machine. Like, there's nothing that's like, oh yeah, this bit's going to die early because of their decisions. This is just a solidly well-built machine, built off the shoulders of everyone else who has cloned Bambu Labs, and they've done their own little twist on it, which, to be fair, I quite appreciate. Hence the USB on the front and the glass doors and everything. That is a really good leader for just making a machine feel higher quality. They didn't need to go with glass.
Yeah, I don't need
Could have been
glass.
plastic.
Like, the Core 1 with the acrylic is fine. It's not as high quality as glass, right? Like, to be fair, it's not. But you're also not going to likely Uncle Jesse the door.
Yeah.
So, there's that too. My concern, things that people never thought about with Bambu, replacing pulleys, replacing bearings, replacing bushings. Things that Bambu said, yeah, no, actually, we're not going to support this. Get screwed. And then enough people got pissed off. Bambu said, we were just kidding about that whole we're not going to support it thing. You can go buy it in our store. It's very expensive. Screw you if you go buy it, but you can go buy it if you want, I guess. Yeah, a sip of coffee says Jesse will never live it down. I love it. Honestly, he has handled that the best way that anybody could. But as a guy who was previously in big money marketing, he knows better than to try to let it go, right? He gets tagged in things that there's no reason for him to be tagged in it, but people tag him in it because there's a glass door. So, like, ultimately, he's won that marketing game, right? Yeah, there was a big hit, right, when that happened. That's like, oh shit, this was live. What am I gonna do? And he's good because he's very family friendly. He didn't cuss on camera. Like, he handled that.
But the
like
reaction is perfect.
Oh, dude, the reaction, I don't think that you could have planned a better, like, yeah, the look on his face could not have been better if he planned for all of this. Like, it's perfect. The GIF of it is perfect. And we've used it in plenty of videos because it's perfect.
It is a masterclass of emotion.
And he handled it like a pro. And he's handled all of it like a pro. Even Elegoo's given him crap for it. And he's handled it like a pro. Who was the company that just released a printer with glass doors and they tagged him in the release? Like, look, it sucks to ever have that happen. It sucks to have that happen. But I'll tell you, he has handled it like the professional that he is. The man is a professional, and he deserves a lot more respect than he gets for how well he handled that situation. Because I will tell you, as someone that has bled on camera, as someone that has I have cut wires on camera that I wasn't supposed to cut. Dude, that feeling of, oh, God, ugh. And let's not even talk about the now missing stream of me belting a Voron and how bad that was. It is very difficult to maintain composure on camera, especially when you're live, and he did an amazing job. An like A1 class, perfect. No notes. Anyways. But yes, glass does feel really, really good. I don't, does it open 180 or does it only open 90?
I can't remember. I would assume probably, I think from the gut feel. Now, gut feel, normally wrong, but somewhere in there's a bit of truth. I think it's 120. Not a full 180 open.
As long
but
as you
even
can
if
take
it did or didn't, it doesn't matter.
But as long as you can take the door off, I think that spending the extra $100 on the carbon is probably worth it. Now, see, here's the thing where it gets funny, right? Is it worth 33% more? Or really, it's a 50% price increase over the Centauri.
Okay, I don't think we should be using percentages. Because
I think
when
we
you
should.
turn it into percentages, it becomes so muddy into trying to figure out if it's worth it or not.
Is the carbon worth a 50% price increase over the regular Centauri? For me, it is. For me, it absolutely is.
I would say yes.
I want the enclosure.
I would say yeah.
Right? I want the enclosure. Even if I take off the glass door and put them aside, I want the enclosure. As dumb as it is, I don't like Core XYs without enclosures. They look weird.
They look naked.
Yeah, the XL. Like the XL at least looks kind of interesting, right? You know how it's kind of cantilevered and all that.
Yeah.
And TJ says, and the camera. Yeah, the camera is an issue.
Camera's actually quite a big one. I like the fact that for a machine at this price point, you have a camera.
Well, no, the enclosure keeps the camera from seeing things outside of the printer.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You have to join at a pretty high tier to get, unadulterated access to camera feeds around these places, okay? All right? That's on the blue site. 3dmusketeers.com. What were you thinking?
Yeah. Company colors, definitely nothing else.
I mean, it is. We have two blues in our company colors, but yeah, I don't know. It's like the P1P just feels like a cheap P1S, it's what it is, to be clear.
Yeah.
It's what it is. But it looks cheap.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't...
It does.
Is it worth the extra
And
$100?
I'll even argue that the P1P looks good for a naked frame as well, because there's a lot of hidden interest in how they've stamped the bolts. Like, there's a lot of things you can go, oh, I know it's been cut down.
Yeah.
But even in a cut down state, it's kind of interesting. But it still looks wrong. It's like you went to the gym and you've only worked your upper half.
Yes!
Everything below
Yes!
is just gone.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you only did leg day or you only did arm day for like 3 years, right?
Yep.
That's me. I was a cyclist for many years, and like waist down, pretty decently lean muscle. Waist up, very different story. It's why you don't often see me in shorts. I've lost a lot of muscle mass since the back injury, though. But you know, I think FlashForge kind of handled this really well with the AD5M and the AD5M Pro, because they released printable files for the enclosure. So if you had the AD5M, now that's a $200 up, so $300 to $500. So it's a 66% price increase, right? From 3 to 5. Is that correct? That's probably right. Sporlex says, what tier membership for Grant in shorts? If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Don't worry, he's cheap.
Excuse me.
You have a price tag and you know it, and it's
Everybody.
lower than you want to admit.
For what?
You in shorts.
Oh, I wear shorts all the time. You just don't see me. You don't normally see me from the waist down, because that's going to be a weird shot.
Yeah, it turns out Grant right now is doing the proper Zoom etiquette of being completely ass naked.
No. I got jeans on. I can pick up my leg far enough to prove that. Yeah, Jacob, unzip your jacket. Do not unzip your jacket.
No, do not unzip my jacket. No.
But yes,
there is nothing underneath this because my room is absolutely boiling.
There's nothing under this either.
I bet you're naked under those clothes.
Oh, you only would know. Jesus Christ. We did see you trying on that dress for Amber. That was not a dress. Those were pants. Did you not know that those were pants? Amber made pants, but they're really like flurily. Like when you spin, they act kind of like a dress. Okay. And I'm like, I bet I fit into those. And I did. Boy, were they comfy too. They're pretty comfy. See, just before you came on the Friday Maker Call. That was Friday Maker Call activity.
Oh, I missed it.
Remember, some of us are English. Meh.
I work late. It's fine. But yeah, and for reference, why I'm not wearing anything under this, I just checked my little temperature sensor. It's 31 degrees in here. In the UK.
My temperature sensor is out of battery, so I couldn't tell you. But it's 27 outside. Which means it's probably about that. I do. Yeah, because if I didn't, I'd die. It's March! And it's 27 outside. The doctor has said Donald ducking it. Oh, I missed something. There's something. Oh, yeah. The building the enclosure yourself. I like that idea. I like that concept of building the enclosure yourself. Right? So if you want to spend less money on the machine, but let's say, you want some side panels. Or you want to, spice it up a little bit. Make it look cool. Well, maybe different color accents on the machines.
Mm-hmm.
I like that option. I would spend the money. I would spend the money, the extra $100 to just have it done by a company. But I can totally understand people wanting to save the money. So,
I will say for the Centauri, it's more than just an enclosure. You get the chamber fan, and that's a big one.
And
like,
a hardened nozzle.
And the hardened nozzle. Like, it's not just the chamber. I would have done it just for the chamber. The fact it also comes with an exhaust fan, temperature controllable, and a hardened nozzle, that kind of makes it an instant buy in my eyes.
Now, the question is, can you upgrade the Centauri to the Centauri Carbon? Can you add on those features? I'm assuming the boards are the same.
I'm gonna say yes, because that board looked so cheap. They are not doing two designs for
dude.
two different boards.
If they've spent more than $8 on that board, I'm gonna be surprised. I mean, they're using
it's red,
but they're using
that's a teller of the cost. It's red.
They're using real stepper motor drivers though. Like Bambu doesn't use stepper drivers. They use H bridges. They use MOSFETs.
That's because they're insane. They're insane, and they just took everything from the drone side and went, "Oh, I can reuse this in printers."
Yeah, I mean, they're just brushless DC motors, right? I mean, it's basically the same thing. Sip of Coffee is like, what does red mean? It means it's really cheap.
Yeah.
Like, red circuit boards are often like, so you need a 2-layer circuit board or a single-layer circuit board. You really don't want to spend any money on it. We have a red option for you. I don't know why it's always been red. I like the red over the green. No, the circuit boards I like the most, and I want to see more of them. Big Tree Tech can do clear.
Ooh, I did not know that.
I have some. I have some. But it's only for currently it's only for things like switches.
Oh, but still, complete clear. Now, do you remember when Bambu Lab did that promotional version just for influencers that were just clear? Imagine that, but everything is clear. You can see the motherboard, the motherboard's cleared.
If you release a clear A1, I will buy one. I'll buy it. I will give you money. If
bonus
you
money,
a clear one, I will.
If you make it clear with a purple tinge in it.
I don't need the purple.
Go. But full Game Boy coloring.
I get it. I get it. But I think it's really cool to see the electronics. I wish more companies would show us that stuff. Like, if you're gonna have an injection molded machine, I want one that's clear. I want to see the stuff. The atomic purple. Thank you. I think that stuff's cool. But yes, atomic purple, totally cool. But yeah, they have clear circuit boards, but they're only 1 layer, I think. It might be 2-layer, but they don't go more than 2 layers. That's
still cool.
It's super cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. Especially if you're doing things like, so I have the, it's the switches that fit in the hexagons of a Voron, so you can use the macro button pads. Put RGB switches in that. And the board acts as fiber optics. And that stuff's cool.
I hate how much I'm vibing with that. I would make an entire machine about RGB motherboard.
I told Luke that I would do unspeakable things for clear motherboards for printers. Dude, imagine if you could see the different layers and you could see like the in-between lines. Oh my god, that'd be so cool.
That would actually be gorgeous.
Right? And
like, it would be gorgeous.
Charge me more. Charge me an extra 20%. And I'll pay 25%. Charge me extra. I want it. I'd pay for it. For something that I'm going to end up hiding anyways.
It doesn't even have to be the motherboard. It could be the feather board, like on the tool head. It could just be a completely clear tool head with everything else being as clear as possible. And you can see all the way through. One LED will make it glow.
Right?
You don't need an LED strip to glow outside the machine. You look at the tool head, and if the tool head is glowing red, you go, ooh.
Yep. Yeah, right. Yes.
Steal that idea from me, please. Somebody make that happen, please.
Yeah. I will promote it on this channel, and I won't charge you if you do. There you go. Assuming it's any good, I'll make a video on it. If it's not any good, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Fine, now I've got to do it.
Well, they like you better anyways, so I don't know. RGB on each layer. What if you did like RGB traces that follow the traces, so you could like have a fake power going through the board? Oh, that'd be cool. All right, we're tangenting too much.
Yeah.
Yes, red PCBs are often the cheapest.
For reference, there is one cheaper. So it goes in this tier organization.
What's cheaper than red?
Milk.
Oh, the non-colored.
The non-colored, just milk. It goes milk, red, green, blue, black, custom.
I like the black.
Also, white can be quite low in the bottom as well, depending on who. But that's more of a people just like to silk screen everything, so it's white.
Yeah.
Versus it's actually cheap. Then that was more of like an era thing.
And we've seen companies like JLC and PCB Way, they're offering full color silk screens too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When we were testing our safe power supplies, we got 2 samples come through with milk motherboards on them. And we were like, no, in the bin
Out.
straight away. Not even going to bother putting them in the testing machine. If your power supply PCB board is the color of milk, turn around. It's not worth it.
Prusa with their buddy boards. There's a silk screened buddy. But instead of it being multicolored, it's black, then it's PCB, then it is, there's one more, the copper, or in this case, gold.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
so
tasteful.
they've done, it's like a 3 color, but it's clean. It's classy as hell.
It's tasteful. Using
it's proper
the
tasteful.
material already there to do it. I like that. I can imagine it. Plus black and gold just looks gorgeous.
I have some photos. But yeah, like companies, could Prusa do their boards cheaper? They probably could. Yeah. But Prusa's one of the few companies that does their own boards in-house. Don't believe me? Look at our tour. I literally spent an hour and a half in their board production area. And the guy who works there, Miroslav, super cool guy. I doubt you're watching this, but if you are, we got to hang out next time I'm in Prague. They have 3D X-ray machines to check the boards, to check the chips, to check all the stuff. It's so cool. The amount...
That is so cool.
Yes, you pay more money. Yes, Prusa's vertically integrated, but damn
that's why you're paying more. You're doing it for that quality checking. Like, I know
to be fair, vertical integration does often reduce the price.
But getting there in the first place is expensive.
Oh my god.
And then you have, especially with like the quality of like the people at Prusa, they are not cheap. Like you could go to China and get it done, and you could cut your corners and still probably get the same output, but that's not what you're paying for. And let me ask you this: when was the last time you've seen, other than Bambu Lab and Prusa now, actually innovate on a machine design in the same level that happens in like Europe or America? Because at the moment, most printers in my eyes are just Bambu Lab clones. They're not innovating, they're just cheapening.
Form Labs with their automation system for the SLA printers.
I'll give you that. I forgot about that.
It's also just
but that's industrial.
Yeah,
industrial.
I'm pulling at the heartstrings there of the more industrial stuff. There is one, and Zach asked us to talk about it, so why don't we can shift into it a little bit. The FlashForge polyjet printer.
Actually, yeah, I'll give you that.
I want one.
Very interesting.
I want one, and FlashForge, I'm going to make the best possible commitment that I can right now. I'll make a Snoop Dogg on it, and I will compare it to my multiple years of hardcore experience running full color sandstone printer, still owning one, and I will compare your polyjet printer to that. I'll even compare it to my other polyjet printers. I will make this model, and we'll see how well your machine actually does. I think that FlashForge machine has a lot of opportunity. And it's like $3,000 or something. It's not expensive. But
that is honestly probably the one I'm most excited about.
For those that don't know, do not buy that printer until you know what the materials are going to cost, because holy crap, polyjet's expensive. And you think clogging nozzles on FDM is bad? The name polyjet should be evidence to you that there are multiple material jetting nozzles. They are very tiny, and if you let those machines sit, they fail bad. If your nozzles get clogged, I wish you nothing but the best on trying to unclog it. It will likely not be possible to some extent. I really, really want to see more polyjet. Yeah, ask us how we know. I have an Objet 30 Alaris sitting in my garage. That should be the reason why I know. But I've worked on other polyjet printers throughout my days. I've worked on Connex 3s, so the Objet 500 Connex 3, which ended up becoming what was the J750. Just crazy machines. Multiple, well, what, Connex 3 was $500,000. Ran one of those, ran $1 million metal printers. I'm one of the few content creators that actually has real world experience running full color 3D printers, so hit me up. I want to look at it. So, yeah.
Okay, ignoring that one because that's an outlier. That's completely out of line. Can you think of any?
No.
Neither can I. Like the reason we pay more for Prusa is they actually innovate, they design, they've got the people, they've got the care. That's what I see most of the money going towards. And you get obviously the customer support and everything else that makes them gold standard, which they massively deserve.
Let's ask the hard question though. Is the Core 1 innovative? There's 2 features on the Core 1 to me that are. Nothing else about it is.
I want to say yes, it is innovative, but not in the same way that Prusa is known for.
2 things. The fact that you can print with the door closed with any material, right? It's active.
Okay.
It's active chamber temperature control, which no other manufacturer has right now. They're the only ones that have it. I wish my +4 had it. Damn thing keeps overheating, and I don't want to print with the door open with PETG. So I have to turn on the back recirculation fan, but it doesn't, it's not automatic. And the other one is the upgrade path. The fact that they took a freaking bed slinger and turned it into a Core XY, that's innovative. Sure, making a machine out of bent sheet metal is interesting, but it's not their first, right? Like, they've done this before. They've got parts of the Mark 4S that are bent sheet metal. Enclosures, all of their enclosures are bent sheet metal. So I think it's a very cool machine. I think its price point is very aggressive for a Prusa printer. But I think as a machine as a whole, it's not as innovative as it would have been had Core XYs not been as prevalent on the market as they are.
Yeah.
I think that that big key feature of, let's say, the upgrade path, I think it's lost on so many people because they can just go get a Core XY printer. And a lot of them aren't doing the upgrade because a lot of them don't want to. Now, at some point, they might. I think if Prusa does the Mark 4 to Core 1, that's good. I like that. But having to go from Mark 4 to Mark 4S, then Core 1, pain in the butt. If you still have to do it in that process, fine. Let me just buy 1 product rather than 2 from your store. And they've listened. They're doing that. But
see, I was actually going to say, I think the Core 1 is less of an innovation point. It's more the maturation of their own technology. The bit of innovation I think it is that they've been able to take their ecosystem and side grade to a completely different kinematic setup.
Yeah.
Everything else they've done, I don't actually see that as innovative. I see that as just Prusa being really good quality, thinking everything through before they put it through.
It's like proof of the pudding, if you will, right?
Yeah. Like, the innovation was actually in the Mark IV, where they've done all the hard work to get the extruder working right. They was in the XL to get the nozzle probing working right. It was with knowing how to make the motherboards so that they don't overheat in certain conditions, looking at other companies who don't care what their thermal max of their components are. That is the innovation I see in Prusa. They've just brought it all together like ingredients into the Core 1, and now you've just got this gorgeous morsel of a cake that is the Core 1.
She's thick too, okay? Like, she got a cake. It's heavy. It's a heavy friggin' printer. That printer is so heavy. But it's heavy for a reason. And yeah, I agree. The Core 1 is, you're right. It is the result of many innovations that resulted in something that is ultimately, in and of itself, not that innovative, but it is a testament to what a dedication to long-term innovation looks like.
Yep.
That's a nail on the head. Because, like, for me, the Mark III was the 90s Toyota Corolla of 3D printer. You can't kill them. They'll run forever. They're not the fastest. They ain't the prettiest. They ain't the quietest. But damn it, they'll run. The Mark IV is when you slapped an eBay turbo on it so it goes a little faster, right? The Mark IVS is when you put 100 shot of nitrous on it. And it's, you know, it's now the shit box that's got the GoPro looking out the passenger side window and the laptop that tells you danger to manifold. And then your floorboard falls out for some reason. We don't ask questions. That's totally what happens.
No, it's just speed holes. Speed holes.
Yeah, because that's not going to increase drag. You know, the Mark IVS was like the souped up Toyota Corolla. The Core One is like, you just got your first Mercedes.
Yeah.
And it's the AMG. And you didn't put the AMG badge on. The manufacturer did. It's like you got a BMW, but you put the M badge on. No.
No,
It
doesn't count.
with the M badging from the factory because it came from that part of the factory. Yeah, it is. It's like a more well-refined printer. Elegoo has done none of these things. Every single Elegoo printer has a different standard. This one does too.
Yep.
At least with Prusa.
I'll give it to them. They have innovated.
Like
USB port on the front.
Okay, fine.
Because that is a very low bar that everyone keeps mistaking.
For these Chinese printers to have the USB ports on the front.
How hard is it to understand USB on front where I can get to it?
Like these Nextruder nozzles that I have. These will work on any of my Prusa printers, Mark IV to Core 1. They just work. And you know what? If I do so dare to put a V6 nozzle on it, because I have it way too much in the V6 ecosystem, they make adapters for it. So instead of saying, no, you got to throw your old stuff out, you can't use it. Hey, here are some adapters. Go ahead and use them. We want you to. Right? That's a big deal to me. Where a lot of these companies have just said, nah, fam, sorry, you don't get, all this ecosystem you invested in for your Neptune series. This comes with a different name and a different thing. Yes, the Neptune 3 and Neptune 4, those are different names. 3 and 4 are spelled differently. Get out of here.
Yep.
You need different stuff. If some of these companies would commit to a more consistent ecosystem, I think we'd see people that become more brand specific and more brand loyal than where we are right now, which is more of it's a price war. And let's be real. If this machine is any good, Elegoo just won the price war.
I physically don't see them being able to make it cheaper. To be honest, I don't understand how it's this cheap in the first place, but...
Creality just entered the chat.
Well, Creality have tried to enter the chat, and they've made a more expensive machine that looks like it does the exact same.
The K2 Plus?
The K2. Yeah.
But so, is there an actual regular K2, or is it just the K2 Plus?
I'm going to double check that now.
The K2 Plus, that's a 350 cube. With a multicolor unit. Like, it's a different animal than a 256. It's just the Plus, apparently, says Dreamsword.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I'm crossing wires between the K1 and the K2.
Because it makes total sense that they would have just the Plus variant and not the non-Plus variant. But I guess if
even then, like, let's say Creality come out with the non-Plus variant. Do you think they'd be able to price it lower than the Centuri? No. I actually don't.
They might match it. And on sale, they probably will. But, dude, I don't even think the K1's matching it. Oh, it has an actively heated chamber. Oh, that's nice to see. I hear mixed signals on the K2 Plus. I know Uncle Jesse had issues with his. We have some people on our Discord that like him. We have a couple that have issues. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of some people have good experiences, some don't kind of printers, right?
Yeah.
The K1 SE is 299 pounds. Well, I don't know what SE means. In my world, it's special edition, but I know that's not the case. So I just... I don't know. I think Creality will try. I don't think any Cubic's gonna care. But they're on
Even
this.
if they match it, I don't think they could beat. And that is kind of the smoking gun at this point. Like, matching is not winning. Matching is just tied. And there's nothing worse in an industry to tie.
Tying is fine if you maintain your ecosystem, and I can take the stuff that I have from my other machines and use them in the ecosystem, because then I don't have to invest in. Like, I'm over here with this cheaty hot end. Like, do I need to buy more of these? Because like, you don't sell me the effing heaters, so like, what am I supposed to do? And I get it that heaters don't fail often, but I had one that failed within 24 hours of print time. And the only option was to buy a whole hot end with a nozzle that, until I got it, I thought I didn't need. This old nozzle's not any good. Because it uses the stainless steel heat break, which allows way too much heat through, apparently, and gives you heat creep with your PLAs.
I miss the days where there was only two standards of nozzle, really.
Oh my
Which
god,
was
yes.
the V6
and like
and the Volcano, and there was nothing else.
Oh, the Mark
really.
8 was the other standard, right?
Oh, the Mark 8 was like the discount V6, though.
It was. Oh, and then there was the Mark 10. But
look, we're not getting it. We're not gonna, because there's got so many marks. But it was, the whole point was like, you have regular V6 length of about 8mm, and you have a Volcano at about 15mm, and that was it. There was nothing really else. Like, there might have been different variations for, like,
right.
China made this version over the European made V6 style, but that was, everyone had the same, and it meant when you're making a machine, all the machines kind of were the same. It was the quality of the machine that made them different or faster or better.
Like,
and now we've gotten into the world where everyone has a custom nozzle. It makes it really hard to compare and contrast. And then you're stuck with their custom proprietary nozzle number 8 this time. And then they'll make a new version, which is 0.5 mm longer. So it's proprietary nozzle number 9 this time. And it is just getting so tedious trying to keep up with which nozzle goes with what. Like, exactly with your heater cartridge. On the old system, you bought the same heater cartridge for everything. Yes, you might have got a higher power version if you were being a bit spicy, but
sure.
a 30-watt heater cartridge fit in everything and you could get away with it. If it was a high power one, you might have got a 50-watt heater cartridge, but it fit in everything. Now we've got the PTC heaters, and they're all random sizes. They're not standardized.
I do like these, though, these ceramic PTC heaters. I wish they were a little bit more
I just wish they were standardized, like one size fits all.
And like on Cheaty, they have a raised area, so if your heater is too big, it doesn't make contact. So you know what I'm gonna do, right?
Just file it down.
Exactly.
Yep.
Every single time. Just gonna file it down.
Because the PTC heaters are a genius choice. Like, they're fire safe because they will automatically stop themselves. They get hot really quickly. They're a bit iffy if you push them to the limit and then ask them to do heating at that stage, but that's what you pay for. Like, you paid for safety over 600-degree nozzle. So, like, I would take that any day on most machines.
And they claim 350 degrees Celsius, but they're still using a regular thermistor. So above 300 Celsius, you normally have like a 1 to 5% range. You go to like a 10%, accuracy range at the closer you get to 300 plus. So good luck with that, because 10% on 350C is a lot. But yeah, like, I agree. A nozzle standard would be nice. I remember not buying a brand because their nozzle wasn't the same that I used.
I would not buy Mark 10 nozzles because I was in the V6 ecosystem.
I remember when I found out that the hexagon hot end on the Taz 6 was M6 threaded, so I could just put a V6 nozzle in it. It was great. It still runs a V6
It's really
nozzle.
nice when they fit.
Yeah.
Like, I have boxes of V6 that modern machines just won't take now, which does kind of suck. Unless they're Prusa's. Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, it does suck.
But yeah. And it makes it hard for buying aftermarket parts or even maintaining a machine as they go out of date.
That's
because
what
now
I
you're
worry about.
beholden to that company having stock And not even if they have stock, not throwing away their stock because they realized it was cheaper to get rid of the web page
Yep.
than it was to keep the stock on a shelf.
I really worry
And
about
that I don't
longevity.
like.
Like Bambu had only committed until like 2025 for the X1. Then after community backlash, what did they extend it to 2026 or 2027? Right?
Mm.
They're only giving you like 5 or so years worth of support. And at that point, middle fingers to you, you're on your own. And if you can't buy parts for it, if there is not a sufficient third-party system already out there, when your machine goes EOL, you're SOL. Because there's nothing else to do. You now have an expensive brick. That is why my Objet 30 Alaris will never print again. Because Stratasys end-of-lifed the printer. There is not a reliable market for third party. There's not a reliable market, period, for third party. But there's not a reliable market for spare parts that aren't also screwed.
What do you mean? Stratasys has an amazing spare part library, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
called
called
Buy a Second Strategist when you bought it, and then just be like, cannibalize one for the other, and then wonder why nobody likes their company, which is annoying because they could have done so much more.
They don't want to because people will continue to buy the better machine because those Objet 30 Alarises that are out there, those were $40,000 machines brand new. I think you can buy them for $3,000 to $5,000 on eBay before they were EOL'd. Now you can't.
It's still not worth it.
I would argue that it is for certain things. If you need incredibly high accuracy and you're printing in 10 micron layers stock, there are reasons. There are reasons to have it.
I'll give you that. I will give you that.
But the vast majority of people will never need those reasons. I'm waiting for.
And if you're printing at that level, you're not buying secondhand in the first place.
I mean,
like I don't see it as that. Like, yeah, but you know what you're doing. Imagine you're like a regular business, and they come to you
find out more than I probably should.
We need to print in 10 micron layers. They're not gonna be strapped for cash. They're going to be like, okay, here is 15 million quid. Find me whatever I need because whatever we're making will pay itself back in 3 minutes.
So, here's that's a spicy take. Defy 3D said, thank God for the likes of the Geometric Company, etc., making third-party Hotends that use V6 nozzles for Creality, Bambu, Silval, etc. They were also the ones responsible for the ultimate destruction of open source with E3D because they made less than perfect E3D nozzles at a fraction of the price, and people started yelling at E3D for it. So,
I am very contentious on this because you are right. They are the downfall of a lot of things, but they're also kind of really good at other things.
I'm not disagreeing this. I have bought from them in the past, and I feel shameful for the fact that I did.
Our new Construct 2 uses one of their parts as a hero component.
And as long as it is not a clone of something that is under protected intellectual property, I have no problem with this. Because it's Fadus. It's a Fadus branded product, not a Geometric Company branded product. I literally will not use their name because I am upset by it. Because Fadus and that company are the same company. They use the Geometric Company to separate the two of them so that they're able to sell these definitely not legal in the United States Hotends to people in the United States. That's not okay. Look, I get it. You want to get around some of these IP laws that you don't find to be valuable. Too bad. I don't care if you like Slice or don't. They own the patents. Slice is legally required to go after people for this. And it upsets me that Fadus just said, oh, no problem, we'll sell it under a different brand. That upsets me because it's a slap in the face to this community, and the community should be backing Slice, even though Slice has done some things that have upset me too. We should be backing them on their intellectual property and not backing the third-party company. And as 3D Experiment says, IP is a theory in China. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I hear those Fadus sick nozzles for the Nextruder are amazing. Are those open sourced? How did Fadus do it? I don't believe those nozzles are open sourced.
I don't think they are. I don't think
as
they
far
are.
as I'm aware, they're not. So how did Fadus do it? Is there intellectual property that is being violated? If there is, those sick nozzles are getting some map gas. I'll melt them. I don't
Do it.
As someone in this industry, I have to look at it and say that I have to support the companies that keep this industry alive, not the ones that are trying to feed on the scraps left over. Does that mean I'm going to pay more money? Yes, I'm going to. Right? Like, I can outfit my entire XL with those silicon carbide nozzles for less than the cost of one Diamondback. But I am going to support Diamondback because they're making a quality product. And they're doing it the proper way. Getting the licensing to do it. It's pain. Vic Des must live in the Southeast. Says why I go to Publix versus Walmart. I only shop at Publix for the BOGOs. Then I go to Aldi's, not just so I can make the Aldi's nuts joke, because that's you just have to. But their prices are just better at Aldi's. So, sorry, Publix for the BOGOs. Everything else to go to Aldi's. I do go to Costco for some stuff too if I need, multiples of things. But yeah, pub subs. Yeah, you gotta get you a pub sub next time you're in the States. They're expensive as hell. Publix is employee owned. I don't believe it's employee owned, brother. It's owned by the Barnett family. Last I checked. Yeah, I'm gonna move on because Publix is based in Lakeland, Florida. Like, it's 40 minutes from here. I've worked heavily with the Publix brand. They're a customer of ours. We've done parts for them before. Yeah, must be employee owned. Okay, I didn't know it was. And yes, Costco for the glizzies. It is employee owned. Oh, there you go. More you know. But knowing is half the battle.
I didn't know that.
I do hear that they're great to work for. They should pay their bills faster, but I had no basic qualms with them other than them taking a little over a year to pay a bill. But working with them was fine otherwise.
Yeah, that's corporate from what I've heard. Just especially in America, very long wait times. Is it not?
The government pays me faster than that.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's not a good review when you're saying that.
I like working with them. My contacts there are good people, and the payments are done by someone that isn't them. So I don't hold it to my contact. I hold it to the company. So 3D Experiment says, yes, Publix employees are generally gruntled as opposed to disgruntled. Dude, the closest Publix to me used to be 15 miles each way. I have 3 within a 5-mile radius of me now. There is one within a reasonable walking distance of me. Amber has roller skated to that one. And then I picked her up because the roads aren't great around here. And as Tarzman says, procurement departments suck across the board. This is not something unique about any company. That's fair. But yeah, ecosystems are a bit of a concern. Right?
Yeah.
But
do they matter when the price of the machine is so cheap?
To me, it does.
Yes, but we're a power user. Like, we think about this sort of stuff.
But let's look at who's buying these machines. Outside of the first-time users and the impulse buys, print farms. Print farms.
Okay.
Print farms. So I have... How much? I don't know how many Mark IIIs I have anymore because we're upgrading some of them. Let's say I have 8. I assume I have 8 still. I don't know. There are things occurring. Let's say I have 8. That means I should have 4 to 5 spare, full, complete Hotends at any time. Ready to go. Hot swap them in. And then I have 3 fully built with no electricals in them. So I can, let's say it's a nozzle clog, swap the whole Hotend. It's faster. Stuff like that.
Because that's what I was going to bring up, was if it was like as they've done just the entire hot end assembly all in one go, electronics and all. Most print farms, you don't want to be doing that maintenance time.
No.
You're not going to hire someone for that. It's too expensive, especially on a machine this cheap. It's literally not worth the money to even look at it. So having that closed ecosystem to just them wouldn't matter, because if I'm doing a print farm, I'd only get one machine, keep it all uniform, maybe two machines at most, and then have banks of them. So I might have, say, if I needed big, I'd go probably a Creality K2 Max just because it's big.
Yeah.
And then you go with like the Centauri Carbon because it's the generic size and it's dirt cheap. And then you just have walls of them. To be honest, I'd just buy my own. But
well, you make your own because you can make them for less than you sell them for. So, you know.
Yeah, but it's the mindset of what do you value in a print farm, and if I was a regular person, a print farm is just, if a machine goes down, I pull the machine from the rack and I put another one in. Most of it is if it's more than 30 seconds to swap something out, it's not being repaired because the machine time is more important than the part cost. And at that stage,
$10. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yes, it is. It is cheaper to just flat out swap the printer because time. But things like my Mark 4S nozzle is clogged. I'm like, huh, weird. So I dropped the nozzle. I have a spare nozzle, so I went to replace the nozzle, and when I pulled the nozzle out, oh, there's a little bit of filament stuck at the top of it. It was just a little bit of scrap that didn't come out. I'm like, oh, pulled it out. Like, looks clean to me. Put the nozzle back in and I was done. I don't have spare Mark 4S's right now. Because honestly, I'm probably gonna buy Core 1s. Right? Like, I love the Prusa bed slingers, but there's no point anymore. Go buy the Core 1. If you're okay with the weight. You can get Mark 4S's fast. But as a print farm, ecosystems matter. I don't want two ecosystems. I don't want a K2 Max or K2 Plus and a Centauri Carbon.
You want the same ecosystem for everything. To be honest, that's why if it was me, you go Prusa or my own.
Mark 4S, Core 1, XL. It's the same damn ecosystem.
Yeah. It's why we sell two sizes of machine.
Yeah.
Because if you want a print farm, you want a bank of small machines and a bank of big machines. And you want to be able to use the parts interchangeably between them. But I should stress, I am a different type of print farm user. I would rather have very high quality, very reliable, and never let anything fail versus the type of person who is doing the minimum cost for maximum benefit. There is a very big mindset shift. You, I feel, are very similar to me. Buy good, buy once, buy a lot of them, and you like the ecosystem and everything. You look at the minutiae.
Yeah, buy once, cry
people
once.
Who do Etsy, if you're an Etsy person, you're just going to go cheap machine, 50 of them.
Yep. And when they fail, give them away. Tax write-off.
Yep.
Tax write-off, right? At a $200 at a $200 price point, it's like my Elegoo Marses. When they die, they go. I'm not fixing them. A clogged nozzle, if you make it like a 2-screw bamboo style nozzle, fine. I'll just replace the whole damn hot end. And then I'll do the same thing that I do with the V6s. I have a box full of clogged hot ends. Once every 6 months or so, just go through and unclog them all. I just take a couple hours, do it all at once, and then get them done. I have a jig that fits in my bench vise, and I have a blowtorch, and I just torch the nozzles until they're no longer clogged. Because you can do that.
Don't do it with hardened steel. It will unharden.
Yeah, but I am off the not clogging hardened steel nozzles. Because I'm using diamonds on all the machines that run any hardened materials. They're running diamonds. But Diamondback has provided us with a lot of their nozzles, some to destroy. So, right?
Honestly, if Diamondback can make a diamond CHT, I would just fall in love instantly. I know they're probably working on it.
They have to be.
But come on, mate, release it. I want it. I would buy every machine in my entire factory, and every machine we make from then on will have those nozzles in it.
It's worth it.
It's just straight up worth it. The perfect nozzle.
Yep. So MLV put out a question. This one's
Oh.
going to be a little close to home for you because it said, so what is the reason to buy a Construct 3D in that case?
Okay, so it's actually fairly straightforward. If you're looking at the minutia of pounds versus this, you're looking at the wrong industry. So a lot of people who buy our machines, they either buy them in bulk or they buy just one. It's about the reliability and the ease of use of just click, play, walk away. That is a very big part of it. You don't have to worry about the type of machine that you get when it comes to us. If you remember back to the end of the days where everyone was upgrading them custom, our machines are the upgrade. Like, you cannot find a replacement part for our machine that is better. And that's because we put them in from the start. This is the machine that you open up, you press print, you walk away, you come back, you have a perfect print exactly how you want it. And if it went wrong, it's probably user error, not machine error at that stage. And that is more in line with like the Stratasys mindset of plonk a machine in a lab, and you need to guarantee it's to a certain tolerance, and you need to guarantee it's safe, because that's another big one. So if you get, say, let's take the Centuri because it's in front of me right now. If you put 60 of them in a line, A, you don't know what the failure rate is or the maintenance rate is. But then secondly, you don't know what the safety ratings are. And if something goes wrong, it could cascade to others and do all of that. Our machines are safe, and we are one of the most tested on the planet for that reason. So that is another side. Like, if you're doing military grade stuff, you can't just buy a machine off the shelf. It needs to be rated for everything that's going on. Even more so, if the parts you're making are classed as life critical, you need to guarantee the part is normal. And you can't do that on another machine because they don't give you a lot of the things that you require for that certification. We do. So it's very hard to be in this position and explain, because I'm advocating for one machine while also making another, and there will always be a bias towards my machines. But at the same time, we make a different class of machine. It's less about, oh, just make the cheapest machine that pushes plastic. This is a tool. And just like you can buy from Amazon different grades of tool, from a 20-pound chisel to a 200-pound chisel, we are the 200, the one you keep and you keep going back to,
It's
and
the
you keep
generational
using.
tool.
Exactly.
It's like the vice
My
that we cut out
friend.
of the video from your tour.
Oh my god,
He's
yes.
got a generational, he's got an old school generational vice sitting in their factory. There was a whole bit about it, but we cut it out of the tour because it was superfluous to the tour.
Yep.
Um,
It's like my friend asked me just in Discord the other day, do you class designing your machines as a job or as art? And I class my machines closer to art, like video games. Like, when you go to a person who's really into their video games and they're making their own, you can feel the effort they put into every feature. And that is the same thing that we've done with ours. It's less of a just make a good machine and make money on it. This is
Yep.
my love letter to what 3D printing could be at this scale. It's why we don't have a camera, because it's a feature most people don't use. It's why we use a volcano nozzle instead of a custom length. We had every opportunity to go custom at every step along the way. It's why we've chosen standardized off-the-shelf parts, because I wanted this to be the love letter of how good the industry is when you get rid of the corporate bullshit of trying to make every dime possible. It's also why we're a bit more expensive, because we went to the safety testing. So we can guarantee if you put this in your kid's room, A, don't sleep next to a printer. Your ears will hate you and your body will as well. But if you did, you can sleep well at night knowing it's not going to catch fire. You can sleep well at night that it's actually had every safety test passed, signed off on to the correct standards, and then extras. That's why we're a Class B machine, whereas most printers don't even pass Class A machine testing, which is industrial grade. Class B is closer to medical grade than it is to anything else. FJ Prince asking, does your machine come calibrated at factory? Every single one. Everyone is unique as well. I'm not sure if we have it in the factory tour, but every printer comes with a sign-off sheet that has individual, like, literal heater rates. Like, we
no,
measure
we
everything.
hit all of those because they have customer information on them.
Oh yeah, we did.
Okay, we hit them all because
GDPR
they had
sucks.
people's names on them.
But every printer is literally signed off by two people. On top of that, every heater cartridge you buy, and we buy the same cartridge, but they will be off ever so slightly. One
Yep.
might heat up at 0.4 degree faster or 0.3 degrees slower. They're all calibrated in, temperature done in, compensated in. The only thing we don't calibrate for is printer skew, because out of the factory, it doesn't exist. But when it goes into your house, it might. But that's why we have the ability to add skew compensation as a user definable feature. So if you are doing lab grade work instead of home grade work, you can get that machine down to 12 micron accuracy because it was designed to.
And I'll
Obviously,
say,
filament does change the tolerancing. Don't use crap filament if you're wanting that level of tolerance.
I would say the Construct, any machine from Construct 3D in a print farm, you're not really concerned about your profit margins. You're concerned about the quality of the product that you're producing. If you are an Etsy person and you're making the dragons on Etsy, you have probably never heard of Construct 3D and you're not their target market. And to be
we
clear,
will actively tell you, do not buy our machine if that is you. Because we will tell you which machines you are looking for, like the Centauri Carbon, because we are not that type of company that is just trying to take your money. We just want you to enjoy printing. And if you're needing our machines, we will tell you exactly where. We'll even do like free prints for some people. If they really need to guarantee, we'll be like, hey, here's a demo. Like, come in, look at the factory, look at how we make these machines. Now we can tell you why that's the best choice for you.
Even further, we visited some of their customers and potential customers. You guys will see videos on this soon. One of which where I get chased by, what, no less than 100 grand in robot dogs?
Oh, easily.
Yeah, it was more than one. And it's kind of scary. Even though it was scripted, it's scary as hell, right? To be chased by a pack of robot dogs piloted by people that don't care. That were like, oh no, we're going to turn these up to 11, so you better run. I'm like, okay.
We left a gouge in the road surface when one of them fell over. It was big.
You did. I forgot that. Yeah, where that big one took a nosedive in the road. Oh, I forgot that. And then we took one to go get lunch. I still want those. Those things are super cool. But
I got the quote through. They did send the quote through so I could get one. And I was just biting at the bit going, I want one. I can't do it. I want one.
Now, if you could put a printer on it, you could write it off as a marketing expense and do what Prusa does.
I could do it anyway.
Walk it around.
We're a research company. I could just buy it.
It can hold it. Look, the big one can hold one full amber and more, technically. I can sit on it, but I can't ride it. You and Amber are small enough to sit on it and ride it. I can. Oh. It can handle my weight for like 30 seconds of me sitting on it. You guys will see there's a whole bit with these dogs in the video, but like that's a company that they care way more about quality, consistency, reliability than they do on price, right? Often when you get to a certain point, you don't give a damn. Like, I have a client who ordered a bunch of parts from us and said, okay, ship them. I said, you didn't get a quote. He's like, I don't care. Charge me whatever you want. I need the parts. You're solving a problem. I don't care what all this ends up costing me. I care that it solves my problem. And when you get into solution providing levels of farm-based 3D printing, you care more about the solution than you do the product. So like the customer or the fan that wanted me to take over their printing for their Kickstarter, while yes, there is money to be made, it's not enough for us. Your best value is to build your own farm. Is it to build it with Construct 3D printers? No, it's not. It's better to build it with Centauris and things like that. Different machines have different price points. And remember, Construct 3D is currently sponsoring the podcast, but it's funny because I'm paying them. Jacob splits all the revenue from this. I'm just being nice and letting Construct sponsor it. So technically, I'm paying to say these nice things. So
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
I just come on here to vibe.
Sponsorship. It's the best sponsorship you've ever had. But like, I look at it and say, after doing the tour of your factory, I can confidently say that you all make the best 3D printers on filament that I have ever worked on. And I've worked on Fadus 900s, right? Price point is not always an indication of quality. There is a reason that people spend money. 3D Experiments wants to know if you guys will have US distributors. Eventually, maybe, potentially, but quality control becomes a huge problem.
Yeah.
And
That's the main thing.
control.
Like, we can make the machines very well.
Yep.
We can ship them over at the moment. That's what we're doing. We've already shipped, I think, 5 machines to the US now. None have had an issue, though we have already identified one bolt didn't get any Loctite, which should be Loctited. So we're like,
you terrible
let's change that."
person! I want a recall! I want a nation!
You say it. We were considering it. That was the point. That's the quality you get from us, is we were considering what was the downside of forgetting this single part because we never shipped overseas and the vibration never caught it, versus asking somebody, hey, could you just undo this bolt, put a dollop in, or just tighten it back up?
You send them
because we're not sure it will survive.
You send them the screws with the Loctite on it already and ask them to replace it.
Yeah. That's what we've ended up doing, is we were like, hey, just tighten it back up, you'll be fine.
You could do torque values and all that, but
nah. But no, it wasn't even a critical area. That's the quality you get from us. But yeah, like, we were looking into, and we still are looking into US distributors. The only downside is they are very cutthroat with their margins, which isn't a bad thing, but they wouldn't offer the same level of quality and support that I would want in somebody buying our machines. Like, if you come to us, you literally get the gold standard of, you've immediately emailed, you know exactly the production pipeline, we're talking you through it. Every single person gets the same level of care because you are our customers. Like, it's less of a, oh, let's earn money. It's more of, let's get you back to enjoying printing. If we did that in America, we'd have to get a distributor that matches the level of quality that we provide. And they have to be happy to advise that you don't want our machines. They have to be happy to say, hey, actually, this machine is who we recommend, or this process is what we recommend. I've even told people, you don't want printing. You want to go to injection molding. And I even told them how to do it and where to go. And here's your local, here's your foreign. But that's just who we are. We're allergic to earning money because we'd rather you enjoy your time.
You're allergic to late stage capitalism. You are doing what's right. I often say, when I'm on the phone with people, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot with the answer that I'm giving you. But it is the best answer for what your problem is. It is not the best answer for what puts money in my pocket. Like the gentleman that wanted a custom part so he could mount a camera to a telephone pole. I said, why? It's like, well, I just want something that kind of fits the contour of the telephone pole. Said, but why? Well, I just wanted this. And I'm like, dude, go get a piece of wood, sand a freaking, stick it on the, screw it in, you're done. Like, he's like, oh, I never thought of that. That's a great idea. I've been a woodworker for 20 years. I can do all that myself. I'm like, thank you. I said, you were a nail looking for a hammer. No, other way around. You're a hammer. You were a solution looking for a problem, not a problem looking for a solution, right? So it would have been a hammer looking for a nail, a solution looking for a problem. And that's the kind of stuff, it's like, it doesn't make sense. I could take him like $300 of his money and he would have been happy to pay me. But it doesn't make sense. And like, to be fair, we've looked at distributing plenty of companies. But we have a very specific thing regarding customer service. We as 3D Musketeers want to be able to offer paid service plans that can include things up to 48-hour guaranteed service, which is you're overnighting a printer to them, right? Yep. So you're sending them a brand new printer, you're taking their old printer back, or you're sending them a refurbished printer, right? And then that broken printer then gets fixed on your time. So when that happens again, you can then send that machine out. But when we look at like Creality, who's a good brand that I've tried to, well, Wanhao was one that we used to, but Creality was only going to give us like $30 a printer. There is no money in that. The first time someone calls us about a problem, I've lost my money. So we only resell brands that we can trust, that we can rely on, that make sense, and hopefully we don't have to hold a lot of inventory of. I don't mind holding some inventory of certain brands. It's no big deal to me. but I don't want to hold a ton of inventory of a bunch of brands. That's dumb because it's money that I can't use for other things. So quality over quantity is much my preference. It's Jacob's preference, and maybe that's why we get along so well. I don't know. You all seem to really like
I think
that
it's the
we
hate
jived
of
well,
late
so.
stage capitalism. It's definitely that.
Yeah. 3D Experiment's asking if you guys have any slicer material profiles. Go into Orca, add a new printer.
Yeah.
Scroll down to see.
At the moment, we only have the basics of PLA, PETG, TPU, and a couple others, depending on which version that you download. If you have a material that you want, we will make a print profile for it, and then it will be given to Orca, and then it will be distributed to everyone. We just need to find out which materials people like. At the moment, we've got generic PLA and generic PETG as the two primary used ones.
Good enough.
And they work for everything. And for reference, the flow rates for both of them are roughly 32 cubic millimeters per second. Actual flow, not marketing bullshit. You will get that number. Just saying.
So MLV's asking the question of why can't I distribute Construct 3D? Sounds like a match made in heaven. I don't have the space, and quite frankly, there's probably not the demand right now for a USA distributor, but I'm sure when that comes up, that talk will commence.
Oh yeah,
because
you're one of the only people I trust at this point.
Construct would be like Construct and Prusa are pretty much the only two companies that I would want to resell at the moment, or distribute, or whatever you want to call it, because I trust in the company's long-term commitment to working on their machines. I totally understand that people will want these Centauris and Centauri Carbons. Hell, I want one. I'm not going to pay for it, but I want one, because if I'm going to buy one, I'm going to make a video on it, and I'm not going to spend my own money to make a video. I'm sorry. I've spent way too much money on this damn YouTube channel. So I want one, but I have no practical reason to own one. I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting price point, but there's no way that Elegoo can offer a reasonable rate to resellers that also includes the fact that your customers are going to call you when they have problems. Not if, when. I don't care if it's a Construct 3D, a Stratasys, a Prusa, whomever. If a company doesn't have an established, my level certified amount of support already there, then it ain't good for me. I don't want it. Dan87423 said, any suggestion for flame retardant film with high temperature resistance? Ultem. Need to print electronic enclosures, enclosure parts that must pass these regulations. Ultem. 9085. Hell, you can even get it in a ESD resistant.
Yep.
Have fun with the price, though.
I believe there is a specific type of PPUS CF. PPSU CF that has a temperature deflection rating of 120, so that might work.
Nah, 125
on
means
the
it probably
borderline.
peaks at like 140.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it has to be peak PEC Ultem, right? You're gonna look for UL94 V0. So that's the rating you're gonna look for. It's fire retardant. I mean, Atomic makes an ABS, but that's not going to handle it. Prusa makes a PETG, obviously not going to handle it. Yeah. You guys just want to see what that's like. Just take a look at the cost of a spool of Ultem. He slaps 1 kilo of Ultem. This guy can buy so many Centauri Carbons. It totally can. It's like $400 or $600 a kilo or something. Yep. 3DX Tech is where I would get my exotics from. Like that level of exotics, just go buy it from 3DX Tech. They come with certs. They're buying from Sabic International, Sabic Corporation for the Ultem itself. So options there too. But yeah, you're playing with some pretty spicy printers at that level. Some very expensive printers at that level as well. So, and yeah, still a pain in the ass to print. You're spending Construct 2 money minimum to print.
Minimum.
And
probably
technically you guys can't even print Ultem. You probably could, but it won't be certifiable Ultem.
Well, you've seen the part that we've already made on the C1. Stupid idea, by the way. Don't print massive Ultem parts on a machine not designed for it. The fact we can do it was quite fun, but don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it.
Yeah. Dev miners want to have the Vision miner, the 22 IDEX in my brain farm, but it's so expensive. Yeah, they're like 20.
About 20
No,
grand?
they're 16,000. We looked, they're like 16,000.
Do you know if that's before or after tax?
If you're spending that kind of money, you better have a resale.
To be honest, you don't care.
Yeah, you don't care.
You don't care.
An extra 7 or 10% or whatever is irrelevant. You're gonna spend that on your first print. Your first print's gonna cost tax money.
Yeah. And if you're making things for other people, you only need like 5 prints and your machine's paid back.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason you bought that machine. You're printing high temp stuff for very particular companies.
Yep. But if you have someone that's requiring that kind of details and data, ask why. Always ask why. 125C, most thermoplastics don't last in that. Your issue's not going to be flame retardant. It's going to be TG, making sure that it doesn't start to deform and melt. David Contrivers is PC ABS. Nope.
Not even close.
Not even close. Yeah, I think that's only like 105.
Even straight up polycarbonate, not close.
And to be clear, PC ABS is the worst of both. You do get the flow characteristics of ABS, but you get the warping of polycarbonate, which is way worse than the warping of ABS. I have some PC ABS. Luminaire CE regulations are tough. Don't know much about that. I'm sorry. I wish I had better options, but if a V0 works, Atomic's V0 ABS has always been good. To be clear, do not print any V0 material indoors. You will regret it. Ask me how I know. Whatever chemical is in the V0 that makes it fire retardant sticks to everything.
It's bad.
It sticks to furniture.
You can taste it in the back of your lungs for weeks.
You can. Oh yeah, Form Labs might have a good resin.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Resin printers might be an easy, cheap way to do it.
Resin might be the answer. Talk about toxic.
I know there is a resin. I think it's a clear resin that can do up to 250 degrees. So, and that's on a regular resin printer as well.
Oh, needs 400 by 400. You're
okay.
No, just stop.
No, Stratasys. Go to Stratasys.
Yep.
Done.
Stop. Do not do this. Whoever's asking you to do this, stop.
Money up front and then still walk away.
Yeah,
because that would be easier.
A Fadus 450 will barely do this. Don't do this. That's a bad idea.
And if you want to see the quality a Fadus 450 does on a benchy,
oh my god, it's their own startup. Oh no.
Oh no. Reevaluate your life.
Brother, sister, person, no. Oh my god.
I'm going to give you some very good advice right now.
Don't. That's my advice.
Just reconsider completely. Maybe make a jig and then cast something.
Yeah.
But that is the only thing 3D printing is not your solution at this point.
Mill it. It will cost you less to mill a block of aluminium that's that large than it will to print it. That's fire retardant. It's metal. You could do resin casting. You could do roto forming and all that. But no, dude, that is not something you print. Something that.
To be honest, sandcast. Sandcasting is where you want to be. Just get a regular manufacturing process, cast and mill.
That's still a pretty big part. You can't do that at home.
No.
Because a crucible that size is going to need like a sizable foundry to do it.
Unless your budget is at minimum 100 grand, you're not doing that project.
Thermoforming is still an option, but will require more post-processing. I highly disagree with more post-processing. I know 3D printing. No.
I don't see it.
No.
Of all the tech, the only thing you might be able to get away with is stamping. But then you're still looking at 20 grand minimum for the stamp die.
Like, if you're not going to build your own custom printer to do this, you're spending $250,000 on a printer to do it.
Yep.
And that alone, I'm out. Right? Like, God, look at EOS. Do like binder jetting, maybe? Maybe if you really wanted to do 3D printing, but then you're still
That's if they
outsourcing the
have the
production.
material. I
Yeah,
don't know if
it's
they have the material for that temperature.
EOS, it's binder jetting metal.
Oh, you meant the metal side. Oh,
That's
yeah. They definitely can.
Oh, I'm stupid. X1, not EOS. X1. But yes, EOS does do DMLS, which is direct metal laser sintering, but that's $1 million plus to do that. X1, EXONE, they do metal binder jetting.
Maybe WAM? WAM might work for you. Get some wire arc additive going on.
It's gonna look
But
like
that
shit.
again, it's
Go traditional
yeah.
manufacturing for this. There's a reason. There's just a reason. I saw some PA6 with ceramic spheres. That was V0UL94. Seems to be 125C resistant. So
X'd out.
have fun. You're going to need to have a chamber that can handle those kind of temps. If there's a slight amount of deviation in your material, your parts no longer handle it. And if 125C plus, what if it goes to 130? And even though it can handle 125C, it's soft at those temperatures already. I promise you. Especially if it's heat soaking those temperatures. PLA can withstand heat from a blowtorch for half a second. Right? Like, well, a tenth of a second. Right? But it's not going to... PLA will not sustain 65 degrees Celsius, which is its glass transition temperature, much beyond like 5 or 10 minutes.
The only thing you could possibly get away with is hybrid manufacturing. So we've done similar. We have a resin printed part that can't keep the temperature, and then we reinforced it with metal ribs that we then literally push stamp inside and put an adhesive in, and then it holds it in place. But that is only because the material softens. Like, we're not in direct contact with that temperature. If that resin was at that temperature, you're going to have bigger issues than reinforcing the part.
Yeah.
So
I would say given what you're doing, you're in the territory of let's talk with some money involved, because this is consulting territory. Like, for what you're trying to do, this is you need to hire someone that has experience doing this to consult you on the right method to do it. I think we've given you plenty of advice for free on this one. But realistically, I don't think
you're going to need to
right
send
choice.
NDAs over. That's an NDA level, probably still going to turn around going, it's not for you. And
Dan, Don, whatever, if you want to work with us, email us, youtube@3dmusketeers.com. You can work with both Jacob and I. You can work with just him if you want, Jacob's experience. You can work with just me if you just want my experience. We will charge the same rate and all that. NDA with an STFU clause. That's what an NDA is. An NDA is an STFU clause. That's what it is. But yeah. There is more to what you want to do than you think. And I will tell you, as having experience printing high temp materials, it is way harder than you think. And there are a reason that machines like the 22 IDEX, the Construct 2, the HT90, why they are the money that they are. There's some reason as to why the Stratasys machines are that expensive, and it is more than just because they can. There is a lot that goes into insulating a printer for those kinds of temperatures. But enough of that. Jacob, why don't we give away a spool or two and then send these people over to Steve? How's that sound?
Hell yeah, that sounds like good.
Okay. So, for those of you that are listening audio only, you did miss it live and you've missed watching it on YouTube. And if so, you can catch us over at youtube.com/3dmusketeers or youtube.com/@3dmusketeers. I don't know how the hell they're doing it now. But if you do want to see this stuff live, it does happen at noon on Saturdays Eastern Time, subject to change, potentially. We don't know. We're still kind of working on that. But if you do want the chance to win some filament, you got to be here live. So do stick around till after the outro. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always,
keep making awesome.
This has been episode 216. Will the Centauri Carbon change 3D printing? The answer is probably.
Yeah.
We'll see. See you later. All right. Recording is done. Let's give away some filament. 3 rolls of
I'm so
Ultem.
No. Look, if I was rich enough to be giving away Ultim, I would not be sitting here with only this on. I would have aircon in this room.
Well, 3DX Tech wants to sponsor us to give away some Ultem. I'm happy to do it, to be clear. Oh my god, it's on Sundays. I said Saturdays.
Oh, it's fine. It's Saturday somewhere in the world, right?
Well, no, I said noon on Saturdays. It's noon on Sundays. Oops.
It'll be fine.
This is what happens when we do stuff live. I can't edit the podcast. We send them up raw. All right, I'm gonna turn off the giveaway form here. Oh my gosh, what a disaster.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Centauri develops.
Dude, I am too. I think that they've got some opportunity here, but I am worried that, like we saw with the Giga, that Elegoo might fumble. And I really don't want them to fumble on this.
Yeah.
One.
The Giga was such, I wouldn't say a disappointment, but
no, it was a disappointment.
It was a disappointment.
It was absolutely a disappointment.
Even if they left it the same and they just put a better head on, it needed more flow rate. It was so flow rate starved.
Yep.
There's a reason we put a 0.6 in our big machines as standard, and we run out of flow rate within seconds.
I see 3D Experiments commenting a little bit up. They want a spool. Congratulations, 3D Experiments.
Woo.
Let's see, who do we got now?
As a reply to 3D Experiments saying they're expecting a flawed experience from such a cheap printer, I think you'll be surprised. They've not innovated, they've copied. And that means they've copied all the good design from other machines. Like, they don't need to redesign. So I think that you might actually get away with good.
You hope.
But wait 6 months. See what people are saying. See if the failure rate goes up. But for now, from what I've seen, I'm interested.
Is Gilbert Nar in the chat? Let's find out. They are in the chat. Let's see if they respond. If they respond, they win. So I will mark them as yellow. And want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more. Let's be nice. It's been 3 hours. Has it been 3 hours? Yeah, it's been 3 hours. 3 reels of filament for 3 hours.
All right. Is that what we're going to do? One spool an hour? Let me see if this person's... I think they're in the chat. I also think they're a patron. Okay. Man, there's a lot of you that can't do math. This person could do it. Hey, Da Vinci 10, you in the chat? Or Da Vinci 0? I don't know.
Yes. Da Vinci 10 is in the chat.
Gilbert Nar's there. We've seen Da Vinci on a scroll. Yep. Sweet. All right, y'all, reach out to me on Discord, and I should be doing the filament theoretically this week, getting them all out, because I got to do February's. I didn't get February's done yet. But thank you all. Dude, my internet has been stable.
I was hoping you wouldn't say it. Because the moment you say it, it's going to...
No, look. We're at the end of the show. We can say that we've had no dropped packets this entire stream.
Have they finally fixed
it? I don't know. Well, I've got smoke pings set up, so like now I know. Now I know. So yeah, Spectrum. All right, let's send you guys over to Steve. Steve is working on a Mark IV to Mark IVS. So remember, when you go over to Steve, tell him that we sent you. That is all we have for you all. See you later. Take care. Brush your hair and stuff. See you later.